Good evening. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. We do have British and Irish Lions rugby tonight. It was a little bit touch and go. We weren't quite sure what was going to happen tonight. Lots of COVID issues, which we'll cover in a minute, and we'll sort of go through what the situation is in South Africa, why there were so many issues where we weren't sure if this game was actually going to go ahead, what the story was, and stuff like that. It's been a very, very difficult week, and a week of a lot of sort of introspection, really, talking about whether this tour should be going ahead. You know, what's going to be the story? Is it going to be able to be finished? You know, how confident are we that we can get this tour going and stuff like that? So it's not an ideal situation, but it's what we live in, and I think that's the main thing. The main thing we've got to focus on is the fact that we've got a match on it tonight. In 25 minutes, we should have been 35 minutes into the game. We will have kickoff in Johannesburg. The Sharks are up against a rejigged British and Irish Lions side, and if you see in the side, there is one backline player on the bench for the British and Irish Lions. So for the Sharks, there's no excuses. If there was ever going to be a time to try and beat the British and Irish Lions, it's tonight when they take the field against a very much second string British and Irish Lions side. There's no other way of putting it. You know, you can't. It's one thing when you say that a British and Irish Lions side which has been tweaked and stuff like that, and some new players getting around and go. It's not even that. It's a completely different side to what they were going to have this morning because of a result of a lot of COVID case, stuff like that. So it's really, really not an ideal situation. But let's start the stream. Let's start smashing that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Let's start getting people in here. Let's start getting the chat going. Let me know where you're watching from. Who are you backing tonight? What are we thinking scoreboard-wise? We'll go through the new teams in a minute. We'll talk about what we can expect tonight, some of the big areas, some of the big collision points. But I want to know where you're watching from. I want to know who you're backing, what you think is going to happen tonight. You know, what are the big matchups? What are the tasty matchups we're going to see? You know, which players are you keen to see go at each other? Let me know what you think. But, yeah, in terms of the teams, so in terms of the entire situation, so what happened is that we've had 3 COVID outbreaks across 3 different camps. The Springboks, Georgia, and the British and Irish Lions now, as well as the Bulls, actually, so 4. So on Monday, a story was released. Well, on Monday, SA Rugby confirmed that there was a positive case within their camp as Lua Diago tested positive for COVID-19. And he was immediately sort of placed in quarantine, but the entire squad had to isolate as a result of it. And then what happened on Tuesday, they actually had to delay the team announcement because a bunch of other players also tested positive, which is, you know, like the last thing they needed. And then what happened today is that as a result of all the players, different players who have tested positive, they've actually had to cancel the game on Friday between the British and Irish, between the Springboks and Georgia, because Georgia also had a couple of positives within their camp. The Bulls were supposed to go into their bye bubble on Monday, and they've had to postpone the game on Saturday because before going into the bye bubble, a whole lot of players tested positive, as well as a couple of members of management. So they also couldn't go into the bye bubble. So it's not been a good week. And then today, we heard that there was a positive case within the Lions camp, and as a result, they were having to delay kickoff. Still have plans of getting the game going, and thankfully we are here. But they had to delay kickoff as a bunch of players had to go into isolation and quarantine. As a result, they've also had to change their lineups for tonight. So it's a very, very different lineup to what we thought it would be. And part of that is the fact that there's only going to be one recognized backline player on the actual bench, which is not ideal at all. So it is what it is. A lot of people are saying that they should cancel the tour. A lot of people are saying that this is a bit of a farce and stuff like that. I think at the end of the day, look, let me clear up one thing. There's 2 issues I'd like to start clearing up. First of all, yes, everybody is vaccinated. The entire British and Irish Lions side is vaccinated. The entire Springbok side is vaccinated. All the club side, all the unions, they are vaccinated. Having the COVID-19 vaccine does not make you immune to getting COVID-19. It means that should you get it and should you test positive, you will be more immune to cope with it, and hopefully you shouldn't get too sick. And in theory, it reduces the risk of it being fatal as well. So just because they've all been vaccinated doesn't mean they can't get COVID-19. That's why this is happening. And second of all, in terms of this tour being a farce and stuff like that, and maybe should be postponed, this tour cannot be postponed. If this tour does not take place now, it will not take place. That's the alternative. It's not a case of, can we not just come back in November? Can we not just come back next year? And that is not a possibility. There are tours scheduled. There are competitions scheduled. You've got Currie Cup, Top 14, Premiership, United Rugby Championship, European Cup, European Challenge Cup, You've got end-of-year tours, you've got test tours, you've got Super Rugby, you've got all these things which you have to sort of fit in and around these schedules. You've got test tours already scheduled for next year, June, July. This tour cannot be postponed. That is not an option. It takes place now or it doesn't take place. I, therefore, vote take place now. And I understand that there's going to be a lot of complications. And maybe we might not even get a full tour. We might not see some of the games. But at the end of the day, we've already seen 2 British and Irish Lions games. The Springboks have got back onto their field. And, it's going to be tricky for the rest of the tour, but it's the reality we live in. And a lot of people also saying that, why don't we go to the UK and play the UK? They thought about that. The UK government would not underpin this tour. They would not sign off on this tour happening because they didn't understand what the situation was going to be. And they had to make a decision. And so I think it was about March, April, when they officially announced that it would be coming to South Africa. That would not be changing. And just because it was going to happen in the UK doesn't mean that there wouldn't have been similar issues. For example, the entire England cricket team is currently self-isolating after a couple of cases. And they actually on Monday had to recall a whole new squad to take on Pakistan in an ODI series. So it could have still happened in the UK. Yes, it probably would have been a bit likely and maybe we would have had crowds. But, you sort of got to think about what a Lions Tour is. And the Lions Tour is a tour match, Just because there are no crowds doesn't mean that there isn't a certain amount of advantage to being at altitude, to playing in conditions to knowing exactly sort of the environment and stuff like that. So it's not an ideal situation. It was never going to be an ideal tour. So people are sitting saying, this is the worst tour we've ever seen. It was always going to be the worst tour we've ever seen. But you know what's better than the worst tour we've ever seen? Not having a tour. I mean, as a South African, I'm not waiting another 12 years to see this. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine 24 years between tours? So that was the reality we were faced with. If this wasn't going to happen now, it was only going to happen again in 12 years' time. And I was not about that life. I would like to see this happen. I'm, in the prime of my life and my career. I should have been in the stadiums. Unfortunately, that's not the case. But, I think that it's a good thing that this tour is going ahead. I'm really, really excited about what we still might see, And as I said, there will be complications. There will be issues. But, as far as we're concerned, let's try and see if we can save this tour. But what some of these issues have brought about is a lot of changes in the sides. And we'll start with the British and Irish Lions side because we'll talk about some of the changes. And mostly in the back line. The pack is pretty much unaffected apart from Murray Toja coming onto the bench. But if we look at the sides for tonight, and we'll start with the Lions. So, first change, number 15, Josh Adams. No Liam Williams tonight. And no, I can't blame him. He was supposed to be in the other wing. Oh, no, Anthony Watson. So Josh Adams will start a fullback after his 4-try spectacular this weekend. Louis Rees-Zammit comes into the game as well. Elliot Daly, Bundy, Aki, that is unchanged. They were always supposed to start there in the centres. Duvan van der Merwe as well. But Owen Farrell will start in the number 10 jersey, not Dan Bigger. He'll be partnered by Ali Price. No Gareth Davies tonight or Conor Murray. The loose trio of Sam Simmons, Tom Curry, and Josh Navidi is unchanged. Those 3 very exciting players. Ian Henderson will still captain the side tonight. He's got Adam Beard next to him. Xander Ferguson, Luke Cowan-Dickie, Michael Vinopola is the front row. Power front row there. And I think they're going to give Sharks a lot of issues. Off the bench, Ken Owens, Rory Sutherland, and Xander Ferguson. That is as the same, as it was supposed to be. And Tadek Furlong, not Xander Ferguson. Then Murray Toja comes in, and Jack Conan is also on the bench. Finn Russell is the only recognised backline player on the bench. Hamish Watson and Talapo Faletau, well, who knows? Are we going to see them in the centre channels? Are we going to see them down the wing? It's going to be interesting. I'm very curious to see how the Lions cope with it. But that's sort of the reality of what we kind of have to go with, and it's not ideal. I wouldn't go as far as to say it's farcical. I think that's a bit of an overreaction. I think it's COVID-19. This is what we have to deal with. This is the reality of playing rugby in these conditions. I mean, some people haven't quite caught on to the fact that we're in a global pandemic. This has been the most difficult thing to plan around since, world wars. So the fact that we're going to have a match tonight is the main thing. It's going to be very, very difficult. And look, I still think the British and Irish Lions are heavy favourites. It's still a very good side. I would back Hamish Watson at centre. I would back Faletau down the wing. I've seen worse players in those sort of positions. I mean, let's be honest. In a foot race, Sam Simmons is probably going to burn somebody like Jumbo Lenga or, tonight Werner Koch. They're probably quite similar. So, it'll be interesting to see. And I think that you just got to enjoy the rugby at the end of the day. We can't change what happened. We can't, thing. But at the end of the day, we get to watch rugby tonight. I think that's the main thing. That's the important thing. So as long as you have that attitude, I think we can still enjoy a good, solid game of rugby tonight. In terms of the home side, Sharks it's in Johannesburg, so it's not a home side. Monty Liebach is at full back. Watch out for him. And if you don't know who he is, very, very exciting player, very, very creative. Usually number 10, been played mostly at full back for the Sharks. Your two wings are 7-star Werner Koch and young sensation Take Abrahams. Watch out for him. Jeremy Ward, Marius Lowe, very good defensively, pretty solid as well. Your number 10 today, very important player, Cohen Bosch, and then a future Springboks come off. In my opinion, Jaden Hendricks, a big game for him. Pepsi Buthelezi, the 22-year-old, will captain the side. Timbalani Boli, number 7, he never goes backwards in contact, so watch him. James Venter, a proper number 6. The two locks today are Hiram Andrews and Ruben van Heerden, and a front row, which I think is probably a bit of the Achilles heel for the Sharks, of Kuta Mkuno, Fezembate, Kwes Mona. Off the bench, Kevin van Vuren, very solid option there. Your two replacement props for the Sharks are Intutuko Mkunu as well as Vian Herbst. And they're going with a 6-2 split. So JJ van der Mesh and Reno Hugo, both second rows, will cover second row there. And then Dylan Richardson, usually a hooker, played a lot at flank as well. Very good over the ball as well. Grant Williams, the replacement scrum half. Anthony Folmick is your utility back for tonight. So it's a very, very interesting Sharks side. And I think that, unfortunately, I think that Sharks front row is going to be under a lot of pressure. I think that they've been decimated by your sort of South African front rows, and that's not the likes of a Marco Vinopola, who I think is a brilliant scrummager. So I think that is going to be the biggest issue with the Sharks today. If they can't front up, if they can't get that front row going, they're going to be under a lot of pressure. I think there are some very nice players. I think Tucker Abrams is a very exciting player. You know, it's something about a wing and a scrum cap that is very, very interesting. Jean de Burger, the game hasn't kicked off yet. We're still about 15 minutes away from kickoff. Kickoff is only at 8 o'clock. So let's go to some of the comments. Let's see who's hanging out here. Rendell Players are here. Hello. I've got low expectations for my Sharkies today. Just hoping they don't make it an eyesore. Yeah, I think it comes down to this pack, really. Chesteroni says, are we going to see the Chiefs in Europe again? We might. We won't see it in the United Rugby Championship. I've heard talks about them entering a competition with some Russian teams and Spanish teams, maybe some Georgian teams. I'm hoping that we can try and get them over back to Europe. Sean Falk, even Sean says, I just hope the Sharks put up a good fight. I would say natural ground. I think neutral ground is for this. And Sipa Tumana says, I feel the Sharks will put up a fight. They're not going to go down without a fight, put them all. Rendell Players says, I've become more and more of a Liebach fan. I think he's a fantastic player. In fact, in many ways, I actually would prefer to see him at Flahoff than Cohen Bosch. I think he's a very exciting player. I think he's a very creative player, and I think that, he's a little bit less one-dimensional. And the problem for me, I think the center pairing today, it's not that I don't rate Jeremy Ward or Marius Lowe, but there's no X factor there. They're not. Marius Lowe's not going to run over Bundy Aki, and Jeremy Ward's not going to pierce a gap and go through. They're a little bit one-dimensional. I think that's, for me, is probably a little bit of a red flag. And where's your sort of attacking intent come? So for me, it's going to have to be for the Sharks. It's going to have to be 10-man rugby. They're going to have to just try and keep the ball with the forwards. Timbalani Boli, remember the name. That's going to be an important player today. Very, very physical ball carrier is Boli. He never goes back. As Lokanya Chongweni yesterday said in the fan forum, he said he's never seen him go back in a collision. So watch out for him. He's going to be a very, very important player for the Sharks. Up against Tom Curry, which should be a really, really nice battle in itself. So I think it should be quite interesting. I think we've got some nice matchups tonight. So I'm hoping that we'll see quite a. Sorry, let me just sort that out. So it should be quite interesting. Let me know which players you are sort of keeping your eye on. Which players excite you? What players are you keen to sort of see how they go? As I said, I'm really keen to see how Body goes. I'm keen to see how Tucker Abrams can maybe try and spark something. I think somebody like Fezan Bart is very highly rated. He will have to hit a set piece quite well the entire evening, so I think it's going to be a very interesting game. It's a very tough ask for the Sharks. Jaden Hendricks is a very, very important player for them. He's going to have to be very good today. I think Monty Liebach is sitting there at full back. Hopefully he'll have a decent amount of influence in the game, because I think he's somebody that can influence the game and can really sort of spark something. In many ways, as I said, I would prefer to see him at fly half than Cohen Bosch, because I think that he's just a bit more creative and he's a bit more sort of out the box and more sort of box office. I think Cohen Bosch has very much become a kicking-based fly half, and I think for the Sharks, they can't do that. The Sharks cannot play a up and under game. Tucker Abrahams, Werner Koch are not good enough under the high ball. They're not going to contest. You also can't afford to risk knock-ons and try to have lots of scrums, because their scrum hasn't been good enough. So it's going to be very interesting how the Sharks go about it tactically, because they can't. slugfest, they're always going to struggle a little bit against a big British and Irish Lions pack, a very good pack. And scrum wise, it's going to be a big problem for them. So it's a big ask for the Sharks. Vic says Tucker is more of a 15 than a wing. He lacks pace for a wing. Man does have a mean step. Yeah, I think defensively he will be asked a lot of questions today, and we're gonna. It's one of those games where you find out what people's mental is all about. You find out where they are in their careers. Can they defend? Can they tackle? Can they rise to the occasion? I think a lot of Lions players over the weekends, Sigma Lions players didn't, but I think that a couple did. I thought it was one of the best games I've seen Frankie Horn play in a Lions jersey. So to do that against a full test team is very impressive. I thought Vincent Tuka was tremendous this weekend. And, those are the chances. You've got a chance now as a Sharks player, relatively unknown. A lot of them are younger players. They've got a chance today to go and put themselves on the map and say, listen, I'm Archer. I can do this. This is what I'm all about. And put in a special performance. In 12 years' time, can we be talking about, you remember how Jaden Henderson came to the party and put in that unbelievable performance against the British and Irish Lions? That's what is available for tonight. That's what they can do with tonight. It's that sort of game for it. So yeah, it should be a very, very interesting game. I'm keen to see how it goes. Sean Farrell says, Rendell Pace says, put Cocker 13. I agree. I think that's where he's much better. He's only played one game there, but he was tremendous there. And Sean Farrell says, I'm interested to see how Sam Simmons does with his first start. I think he's going to have a very good game. I think that I wouldn't be surprised if we see him in the back line, actually, because I think he's very quick and got a nice sort of step there. I just want to try and fix something quickly, so I'm just going to remove myself from the stream here. I'll still be able to chat to you, though, so just give me a few seconds. Right, I'm gone, but I'm still here. Yeah, I think it's going to be quite an interesting matchup in the loose trio, because I think that the loose trio is probably a place where the Sharks can try and sort of contend. I think that's their bread and butter for the Sharks tonight. It's they've got a very good loose trio. So watch out for Pepsi Buthelezi. He's a very, very talented player. I mean, leading the side tonight at 22 years old is sensational for him. Very, very promising player, natural leader, head boy at school and type of thing. So he's led his entire life, but he's very, very exciting as a rugby player as well. He's got a very nice skill set, he's a very good handler of the ball. And he's bulked up a lot, so he's offering a lot more on sort of attack and as a ball carrier. So I think watch out for him. I think he'll be a big sort of part in the Sharks side today. I think at the end of the day, a little bit like the Lions, it's not really about can the Sharks win, because I don't think they can. It's more about what's the respectable scoreline. So, as I put myself back on screen, what for you is a respectable scoreline? I mean, what do we think in terms of score predictions today? What's going to happen? I mean, how bad could it get for the Sharks? Can they do the impossible? I mean, they're up against it, but there are a couple of Lions players missing. And I'm going to start cracking up my first beer. It's 10-8, 8 minutes to go until kickoff. So I think it's time to get going. Let me know what you're drinking, where you're watching from, who you're rooting for. I want to know it and more. Let's jump in the comments. Let's get the chat going. Let's settle in for the second Lions game of the tour, because we'll only be able to do this again in another week, because that Bulls game has been postponed. Hopefully we'll try and get a reschedule for that. So the next time we'll be live for the British and Irish Lions in our new studio will be next week Wednesday up against SAA. G. Freshman says name of the game, Step. Yeah, it's going to have to be, especially for the Lions. They physically, like a backline, but they can't physically go against this Lions side. Vic, who are the two backline players on the bench for the Sharks? It's Anthony Folmick and Grant Williams. I like Grant Williams. He's a live wide scrum half. Got a nice turn of pace, very attacking natured. Anthony Folmick's an interesting player. He's got a lot of pace. Usually plays in the wing. Has sort of become more of a bit of a 15 and sort of seems to have settled there quite nicely. So I think if the Sharks are up against it, you could look at something like pushing Marnie Liebach into the number 10 jumper, bringing on Folmick at fullback, and taking off Kerwin Bosch. Kerwin Bosch at altitude will have a 55-60 meter penalty on him, so that'll be potentially a route that the Sharks can find some points. Vic says that the Sharks will score 3 tries. That's a win for me. G. Fresh says, think the Sharks can give them a go, especially in broken play. Well, I mean, it's a problem, because I think that in if you want, the Sharks are a team that, as you said, that they like operating in open play. But I also think that it's the team that likes operating in play is when you've got a Sika Moze Notche, when you've got a Sia Khaleesi, when you've got an Oxen Chair, when you've got sort of more of those sort of players, and you've got a Lakanyo, a Spoon Corsi, those sort of players love an open game. I think this Sharks side is going to have to sort of play 10-man rugby. They can't go toe-to-toe with the British and Irish Lions pack. They just can't. They're just not big enough. and in many ways not good enough. But as I said, I'm just hoping for a couple of special performances. I want at the end of the game to sit there and say, Pepsi Buthelezi, Future captain, what a game from him. Those sort of performances. That's what this game's all about. Hugh Thomas says, I'm from Wales, and all I saw of Sam Simmons was rushing rings around English Premiership players for fun, for Exeter. Definitely one to watch tonight. Yeah, I'm very, very keen to see how he goes. So highly rated. I can't say I've watched a lot of him, but when I have watched him, I've just been impressed by a proper pace, very, very lethal step. He's a bit like for South African fans, they'll know, he's a bit like a Warren Whiteley, in terms of just very, very good footwork, good handling, also got a scrum cap as well, so that's a player the Lions could have used this weekend. I wonder if SuperSport has caught up with the fact that there was some change to the Lions. I think it was Odwin Ngimangani was talking about how he's keen to see Anthony Watson, who was not playing tonight. So in fact, I'll just check the British and Irish Lions game team on the bottom over here, so we can just sort of acquaint ourselves with who we will be seeing tonight. Please do subscribe to the channel. We're up to well over 2,000, so we're going to try and keep pushing, try and hit that 2,200 mark. See if we can chase, maybe even 3,000 by the end of the tour, which I would have said was impossible until what I saw from you guys last weekend. So please do keep subscribing, keep smashing that like, and let's try and build our community over here. Sean O'Farrell says, for me, this game will give the Sharks some exposure of what will happen in URC with a physical game plan, strong defense, 100%. And Hugh Thomas says, more I hear about this game, I feel as if it'll be a Lions 50-pointer plus. Thanks, Steve, for mentioning just. Yeah, look, as I said, I think many people were sort of slamming the Sigma Lions because and Warren Gatlin said he was hoping for a bit more of a challenge. And unfortunately, I think that in some regards, I think the Sharks will give them more of a challenge. But I also think in certain places, they might not be able to provide as much of a challenge. So it's going to be an interesting game. So we'll check out our scoreboard. There we are. We're at Ellis Park tonight. Sharks will be playing in black and white, and obviously the Lions will be playing in red. Somebody I'm really excited to see tonight is Josh Navidi. I love Josh Navidi. I really thought he had a phenomenal Six Nations. From when he came on off the bench in that first game, was probably the most. I haven't really seen him much, just because it's so difficult to watch all the different rugby. But I was blown away by how good he was in the Six Nations, and I think he was a player I was quite surprised that wasn't in the initial squad. So. Very, very glad he got the call up. And how often do players who get a late call up go on to have a really, really special tour? So I think he's someone who's going to, I'm hoping, will really put up his hand today. Bundy actually should be quite an interesting player. A lot of people are saying that he reckons that he might be in line for the potential test team. And a chance for Owen Farrell to try and stay claiming the number 10 jumper. I don't think the plan was to use him as a centre. As a flower half. I think he was pretty much there as a centre. So he's got a nice chance tonight to try and say, just remember, I do cover both. I'm a good option wherever you want to put me. Wherever that might be for Warren Gatlin and his team. I'll be interested to see who's there. He's going. I say it was one of the members of the coach or the management that were tested positive, and a couple of those of them are cheers, by the way, everybody. A couple of members of management are isolating, so I'm interested to see actually which Lions members are there. Do you have a link for the actual game? Check the link in the description. Check the description. It shows you how you can go and watch the game itself. We cannot show any match footage, or else this channel will be non-existent. And I quite enjoy you guys, so I'd rather not get banned from YouTube. It's an older side for the Sharks than what we saw against the Lions. The Lions' average age on the weekend was about 24. I think it was like 24.7. So it's a much older side here. You've got a couple of youngsters, of course. Pepsi Buthelezi and like James Fenton's quite young and stuff like that. But there's also a bit more experience from the Sharks, and hopefully that'll help them a lot. But there's also a chance for a certain amount of players in this Shark side to try and put up a hand for Springbok selection, because Eben Etzebeth is currently struggling with a rib injury, and Luat de Jager is still struggling with an injury. So, if we don't have two locks, who's being called up? JD Schickerling came back for the Western Province today as they lost to the Griquas right at the end, but I think Ruben van Heerden is somebody who could be on the block radar if he puts in a big shift. So that's also sort of some incentive for the Sharks. They'll be aware of, injuries that might come up, and can they sort of then say, right, well, put me in, Skip. I'm available. I'm ready. But the British and Irish Lions players are running onto the field. We'll have kickoff in about 2 minutes' time. No anthems or anything. because it's not a test match. Ian Henderson will be leading the side tonight. I'm a big Ian Henderson fan. I think he's a very, very solid player. I think that with no Adam Jones, I think he's probably looking quite good to start. I think he's on his third tour or something like. I think No Conor Murray tonight, he's the tour captain. Obviously, hasn't actually had a chance to go into the field tonight as or on the tour yet. But it's the second tour as Ian Henderson. Yeah, second tour. New Zealand was his first tour. But so pity for Conor Murray. But one man is Lourdes Kobe. Yeah, but he's also injured. He's also carrying an injury. There's a reason that Lourdes Diago wasn't involved in the match on Friday, because he is still carrying an injury. So COVID is actually not the issue. I mean, COVID is the least of our worries, really, when it comes to players. So after 14 days, you can probably be okay. But injuries, and also the biggest problem with sort of the COVID outbreak in the box, not only game time, but it's also they can't train, and that's a very big problem. That was something that Lukanya was talking about last night. The fact that it's the missed training sessions will also really hamper the box preparation. Zoot is Owen Farrell at 10. Yeah, big game for him. Big game for him to see how he goes. Looks like the Sharks will be kicking off. They'll be playing left to right. Jaco Paper is the man in the middle tonight. He's assisted by Wayne Barnes and AJ Jacobs, who I thought had a pretty ordinary game on Saturday. I kind of felt like AJ Jacobs was too scared to kind of make some big decisions. I mean, the TMO on the weekend was pretty much telling him to bin Sam Simmons for the clean-out on Morne van den Berg, but it looked like AJ Jacobs was too scared to make that kind of call. So hopefully we see a nice game from Jaco Paper. Sean Farrell says, for me, they need to sort out their bubble for the rest of the tour so it'll reduce the COVID impact. I look at the Euros and I think there was only one case for Scottish football player. Yeah, look, from the sounds of it, just getting ready for kickoff. I think they're going to try and get down to Cape Town as soon as possible. And we've got kickoff. So Curran Bosch going to the left. And it will be an early touch for Josh Adams, who scored 4 tries on the weekend. If you can do even half, that'll be a good outing for him. So they've lost the safety 22, have the British and Irish Lions. And that's a knock on there from Pesi Buthelezi under the high ball. Josh Nvidi's won it back, so we won't have a scrum because it's available for the British and Irish Lions. Farrell going to Bundy Aki, and they can see immediately looking, but Eddie Daly goes back against people. Jaden Hendrickson up nice and quick to make the tackle. So it's backward ball for Owen Farrell. He's under a little bit of pressure. They've driven him back, looking a little bit stagnant there with the British and Irish Lions. Now going to the right to pop up to Marko Vinopolov off of Tom Curry. Expect a lot of those little pops from him. Now he's Zammit. He wasn't supposed to be in the side. A little grubber ahead. He's well ahead, but it's very well read from Moni Liebach, who cleans up. Brought down by Josh Navidi, but managed to keep side. And Jaden Hendrickson spots a bit of space over the top. Puts in a grubber ahead. And Owen Farrell, he doesn't actually have a number on the back of his jersey. Will kick ahead. Doesn't looking to find touch though. Oh, that's not a great kick from Curran Bosch. Moni Liebach went tearing after, but it's actually been knocked forward from, and it's a penalty for the British and Irish Lions. Not retreating is the call from Jaco Paper. So it's an early penalty for the British and Irish Lions. They'll probably kick this towards the corner. Sean Farrell says Josh Adams will be the first name on the test side. Well, I think, how can you ignore 5 tries across 2 games? Just for fun says, good evening, Steve. Good evening, everybody, and welcome. Please do smash a like on the video. If you are new, subscribe to the channel so we can try and push through that 2,200 barrier. Let me know where you're watching from. Let me know what you're drinking, what's keeping you hydrated during this game. So it's not a great up and under from Curran Bosch in that first effort. So an early set piece here from the Lions. Goes up to Sam Simmons. So we'll see our first rolling more here from the British and Irish Lions. It's an early carry there from Buddy Aki, but he's wrapped up quite well. Now Ian Henderson is brought down by Fezembati and the captain Buthelezi. Right, now, Owen Farrell goes himself. Oh, he gets the handle to Reece Zammit. And Josh Adams, well, you can't keep him out. Josh Adams scores his 6th try for the Lions in just 3 matches. The perfect start for the Lions. Pretty woeful defending by the Sharks. And just a couple of pops. 6 Lions tries already to his name. Josh Adams can do no wrong. Can do no wrong. It's Owen Farrell with a solid carry. And it's Reece Zammit. Yeah, it's a good pass there. A little pop-up there for Josh Adams. And the Sharks just not aware at all. Easy try for the Lions. And as I said, I think it might be a long night for the Sharks. I think that the Sharks side, without their Springboks, is looking a little bit ordinary. It looks early to tell. Hopefully they'll respond, but that's not a good start at all. I think the frustrating part is that, and as Owen Farrell pops the extras over to open up a 7-point lead, the frustrating part is, the Bulls are supposed to be the side best placed to offer a test, and they're sort of now, they won't even have that fixture. So hopefully we can sort that out. But a lot of people were backing the Sharks to do a job. But as I said, it was good support play there from Reece Zammit. It's very difficult to try and see who's who with no jerseys. I think we've got Reece Zammit who's wearing the number 10 tonight. Owen Farrell doesn't have a jersey number, and I think that's Josh Adams immediately under the high ball. As Addy Price chase for the box kick. Reece Zammit, Josh Navidi will give chase. And he's looking for touches, Addy Price, and he does find it. Pesi Buthelezi just getting it a little bit wrong there. But, probably saying that we'll take a set piece. Short Farrell says Josh Adams is on fire. 1 against Japan, 4 Semi Lions, plus 1 against Sharks. Yeah, look, it might not be his last of the night. He really is playing top rugby, is Josh Adams. So, early set piece here for the Sharks. The first time they'll get their hands on the ball, really. Pheasant Barton is a good player. He's part of the Springbok alignment camps. Highly rated by the powers to be. Hiram Andrews will be the expected target. It goes up to him. It's a messy win, but it drops for Jaden Henderson, who asks Werner Koch to try and do something. Werner Koch steps to the left and runs straight into Ian Henderson eventually, but he makes a bit of ground as Werner Koch. Ian Henderson trying to think, and they've actually stolen it in the tackle. Marco Vitapola now opening up a few yards, getting the gas tank going. So the British and Irish Lions have got the possession back. A couple of quick pops there from Sexton. Now Reece Zammit's found more gap. Throws a long pass out to Duban van der Merwe. His first touch of the game. Lions up into the 22. Ferguson with his first carry of the day. Owen Farrell. It's Simmons now. Bundy Aki now puts his head down. Solid defense on him. I think it was James Fenter and Fez Mbatu who made that tackle. Josh Adams through. Gets brought down. Lions into the 22. Tom Curry picked up the ball and didn't really know what he was going to do with it, so eventually he carries it himself. Lions still in the 22 here. Now Josh Navidi. Pop inside to Marco Vinapola. Very nice handling from the Lions early on. Quick ball again here. Farrell delaying the pass, going himself. Popping it up to Ali Price, who then goes to Sam Simmons. Pass out wide. Duban van der Merwe up against Tega Abrahams. Abrahams gave him the space and he's gone straight over. Horrible defending from the Sharks. And we've already got our second try within 10 minutes. I don't know what Tega Abraham said. He pretty much gave him the touchline and said, have a go. And Duban van der Merwe said, well, thanks. If we're handing out tries, I'll take one of those, gulp it all up. We're not even 7 minutes in and it's 12 points to 0. And it's the handling and the intensity once again from the Lions, which is killing the Sharks. See, pass over the top there. Tucker Abrahams almost sort of stops it a little bit. He had to commit. Early mistake from the 22-year-old. Good evening, Grant Swartz. Well done in gaming. Well, if you check the description, that's how you can watch the game itself. Obviously, can't show any match footage over here. Too easy from the Lions. No issues there from Owen Farrell. Kicked very well over the weekend. Couple of missed tackles already from the Sharks. Looks a little bit sloppy, but it's that high intensity. It's that ball game that the Lions are looking to play. They're looking to try and get to the wings very quickly. They're going from one side to the next. And it's going to be interesting to see if they're going to try to do that against the box, because it's definitely working over here. So Ali Price now goes to the box kick. Nice take over there from Pepsi Buthelezi, the captain. Hendrickson just delaying the pass. Couple of lines players under. There we go. Temalani Boli with his first carry of the day. Very good ball carrier. Is he? Hiram Andrews just sort of fallen off. I think he's taking a collision to his side, but they've got an advantage here to the Sharks. Kwesi Mona now carrying it up. And they've got a penalty for offsides here. Unfortunately, that big boot of Cohen Bosch, which is really useful. I don't think they're going to be able to use much because there's no point going for 3 points. You're 14-0 down and hasn't even hit the 10-minute mark. So you'll need a lot of penalties if you want to start going for poles immediately. And Hiron Andrews is down, which is not a good sign for the Sharks. A key player for the Sharks is Hiron Andrews. Yeah, it looks like that's the end of Hiron Andrews' game. I think he's off for an HIH. Go and see if he's got a bit of concussion there. So it'll be Reniel Hugo who will come on. Not a small player at all. Actually had quite a good start to the Sharks, did Reniel Hugo. So Sharks going towards the corners. Cohen Bosch. It's a nice touch finder. They're inside the 22. Yeah, so Hiron Andrews off going for an HIA. Sharks now with a chance to attack from in the 22. And it's not a clean victory at all. In fact, it's a knock-on from the Sharks. So we'll have our first scrum of the day. Sharks butchering a nice chance to try and gain some momentum and get going here. So that's not a good start at all. So our first scrum of the day, and I think, yeah, I mean, the British and Irish Lions, 359 kg front row, Sharks, 334 kg front row. I think that this is where it might get a little bit ugly, because I think that this Lions scrum is proper, and the Sharks scrum has been struggling in South Africa. And if you've been struggling in South Africa, I think, it's not going to bode well against a fully test-blooded side. So we're interested to see how this goes, but I don't hold too much hope for the Sharks. I think this is one area where they're going to be very, very weak, unfortunately. Well, it's gone straight down as the first scrum of the day. So we'll have another reset here. Just for the fun, says I'm a Sharks supporter. They're disappointing me right now. It's not been a good start. Not going to start. I'll just adjust my clock a little bit because they've taken a bit of time there to stop the time to get these going. It's a better set, and it's gone straight down. And there's a first scrum penalty for the Lions, and I think that won't be the last either. Crazy Mon is the man who's penalised. Rugby, I'm just for the fun of it. Remember, you're playing a team made of international players from 4 countries. Yeah, I mean, it's not going to go well. I don't think. Hi guys, anyone streaming through Peacock TV? I've tried various options but can't come right. I don't know if anybody here is watching on Peacock. I was checking it earlier and it was working. Grass was the reason Steven started the channel, the reset scrum. I hate a reset scrum. There's nothing worse. Anyway, the Lions have found. Oh, that's a well read. That's a messy line from the Lions, and Kuta Mkuna has come away with things. Messi at the back there for Jaden Hendrickson. It's backwards ball. Pepsi Buthelezi now trying to clean up. He's brought down by Adam Beard. Another man on the field who wasn't supposed to be in the touring squad. So big moment for him to get on the pitch. Now Marius Lowe deciding to run back towards the big Lions pack. He's actually found a bit of space as Marius Lowe. He's eventually brought down. I think it's by Beard. It's a solid tackle by him. Pepsi Buthelezi now was measuring up Tom Curry. It's a solid hit on him. Ruben van Heerden now. Slowing the ball down are the Lions. Something I think the Sharks will probably want to try and do. Reno Hugo first touch. Kuta Mkuna comes inside. Sharks making a few meters there down the blind side. Now Temalani Boli. He always seems to make a few meters, and he does. Henderson goes to Cohen Bosch. He skips them, goes. It's a horrible pass to Jimmy Ward. He cleans up. Marius Lowe steps inside a few people. A bit of a leg drive, but they've actually ended up inside their own half. Reniel Hugo carried it up. Sharks a little bit flat-footed at the moment. Now Cohen Bosch Monty Liebach goes to Vernecock down the blind side. He decides to run straight over. He's still going as Vernecock. He's still going. He needs support. Oh, he can't hang on as Monty Liebach. It's a knock-on advantage here for the Lions. Ewan van der Merwe's going to try and run things out of trouble. Elliot Daly eventually introduces that massive left boot he has. There's nobody home for the Sharks, and I think this will probably run into touch. No, it's been cleaned up at the back here by Marius Lowe. He's got 2 Lions players over him. Gets the ball away from Tucker Abrahams. Now we know what step he's got. But it's a knock-on in the inside from Jeremy Ward. Knock-on from the Lions. Those are the call. So Sharks still have it as James Fenter goes up. Reno Hugo picks up and goes. They've got an advantage here. I think they've got a penalty advantage. They do. They've got a penalty advantage. Well, brilliant stuff from Vernecock, who just ran over Reece Ammett. Found him down the side. So it's a nice batch to play from the Sharks. Unfortunately, if that pass had gone to Harrington, Monty Liebach, it would have been a try. They could have been in there, could have the Sharks been, but much, much better. A couple of carries, not many managing to get past the game line before Vernecock just decided to sit Reece Ammett down. Welcome to South Africa, chap. Had it very easy to Reece Ammett on the weekend. Well, that's not a great start from him. Curran Bosch now trying to find touch. He'll probably be just before the 22 meters. Very nice run there from the 7-star Vernecock. Almost looked like a bit of a high tackle from Owen Farrell, which would be so unlike him. But it's here. Drawing a couple of players, a bit of space to Vernecock. Bang! Cheers, Reece Ammett. Bang! Ali Price. Handoff as well. Vernecock put that in the highlight reel. And then, the pass was not going to hand. If it had gone to hand, it would have been try time. But Vernecock with the highlight reel there. Saying, you know what? Might be from the Sevens game. I can still run over a few people. Literally sat down Reece Ammett. Handoff Ali Price. Fraser Barter finds Ruben van Heerden now from the line. And James Fenter goes himself. He's wrapped up by Michael Vinipola. So the Sharks inside the 22. Jaden Hencher sniping a little bit. Marius Lowe running straight into Tom Curry. This is a big chance here for the Sharks. Slow ball there from Jaden Hencher. Ruben van Heerden puts his head down. He's got support of Kwesi Mona behind him. Now going back towards the right. Tucker Abrahams. You know he's got a bit of a good burst of pace. Pepsi Buthelezi is brought down by Adam Beard. Quick ball this time from Hendricks. Tembelani Bolly. That's 1 he's shrugged off. And 2 he's still going. He's just sat down Tadek Furlong. They've got an advantage to the Sharks as well. So Monty Liebach could do what he wants here. Tries to stab it in behind, but it's a penalty. We'll go back for the penalty. Tembelani Bolly. That's a massive hit on Tadek Furlong. And that's the thing. If you want to try and beat this Lions side, you're going to have to front up physically. You know, that carry from Vernecock, being able to sit a few players down. Some big hits. It's the only way you're going to be able to contend. So once again, going for the corner are the Sharks. Bit of confidence I think will be growing with the Sharks. So that's a nice batch to play from them. So hopefully they can try and sort of switch things up, because that's a much, much better from them. So after electrifying start for the Lions, much better from the Sharks, growing into the game. President Barter finds his Tembelani Bolly in the line-out. There comes a rolling maul, which doesn't seem to be going anywhere. So Pheasant Barter's probably going to have to use this. He's been called to use it, but he's got a hand on his jersey, does Adam Beard. So Pheasant Barter needs some support here. Jaden Hencher goes himself. Gets wrapped up. He had to try and do something because we were kind of leaving Pheasant Barter to dry there. Sharks on the 2 meters. They've been turned over. It's been turned over. The Lions have turned it over. Just when the Sharks were looking good, they've turned it over. And Owen Farrell's not sitting in the pocket here. Looks like it'll be a box kick from Ali Price. Yep, Ali Price going to the boot. Finding touch just by the 10-meter line. Tucker Abrahams is not going to take that quickly. And that's a big chance gone missing. I think it was Tom Curry, the man who turned that ball over. And a bit of a similar time to the signal lines over the weekend. We talk about the fact that you got to make your chances count, and in many ways the Lions' biggest sort of asset is their defense, their big defense, and that's going to be important tonight, because I think the Sharks, if you can just keep the Sharks at bay for a long time, they don't train at altitude, so in many ways the Lions might even be more used to the conditions than the Sharks. You can come up to altitude, every couple of weeks or so. But it's still an attacking line. They're inside the British Lions territory of the Sharks. Pheasant Barter has been solid so far. Goes to the back. And it's gone straight over the top of Pepsi Buthelezi. The Stephen Curse hits again. The Lions have got possession now. Ali Price. Owen Farrell's in the pocket. He puts it up. It's going to be very contestable. There's 3 Lions players herring afterwards. Monty Liebach underneath it. Solid take from him. And he's taken out by Reece Ammett. But the Sharks have managed to keep it inside. Tucker Abrahams now trying to Create something out of nothing. He needs some support. So the Sharks have been pinned back inside their own half. And it's a penalty for the Sharks. Discipline just not being particularly good for the Lions in the last couple of minutes. They're trying to pick a fight with Bundy Aki. I'm not sure I would do that. But, yeah, fair play, fair play. If you want to try and get into their face, then go for it. So another penalty here for the Sharks. Cohen Bosch will be able to pump this towards the inside of the Lions territory. Gets up to about the 22, I think it's sort of landing in there around. So another chance for the Sharks. They've got to make this count though. You can't just park yourself up on the Lions try line and not make it count. You know, it's you're not going to have this opportunity all night. Right, so now after I said Fez Bosch was so good, the line, he does find Ruben van Heerden. They look not using them more. Jaden Hendrickson goes to Morris Lowe, cuts inside, and he loses the ball forward. Errors. Now the Lions looking to try and run it from their own half. It's a bit of a messy throw from Addy Price, who even Van der Merwe is going to have to try and clean up under quite a lot of pressure. Gets the ball away from Josh Adams, who gets the ball inside to Addy Price. Elliot Daly now comes inside. Elliot Daly's got the pace. Cohen Bosch is with him trying to catch him, and Werner Koch. That's a big tackle from Werner Koch. Who gets up. They've got a penalty to the British and Irish Lions. The ball goes to Adam Beard. Tom Curry, I'm not sure of the forward pass. The Bundy Aki now with Temilani Bori looking for some help. The Lions are up to the 22. Go down the blind side to the Lions. Quick ball. They've got an overlap. It's Simmons who can't hang on. So we'll go back for the penalty. Very, very nice hands there from the Lions. A massive tackle from Werner Koch. He needed to make it on Elliot Daly. He had Cohen Bosch who was trying to bring him behind, and Werner Koch just blindsided him. Big tackle, then trying to get up onto his feet and contest with the ball on the ground. That's where you could see the penalty. Yeah, I see Elliot Daly so busy watching Cohen Bosch, didn't know about Werner Koch. It's a huge hit on him. Yeah, I think Elliot Daly might have a few sore ribs tomorrow on the back of that. It's a very nice collision from Werner Koch. I think Werner Koch could be in a bit of trouble here. I think he's only going to the bin for losing his feet at the breakdown. Yeah, but cynical. Werner Koch's gone to the bin. That's tough on him, I tell you. Try saving tackle and then trying to compete for the ball, and Jaco Paper said he's gone straight down, and that's frustrating when you think of what wasn't given. I mean, there were two big penalties on the weekend. You see, he makes the tackle and tries to get to his feet to go on and go straight over as he's sort of competing, as the challenge comes from a Lions player. I think that's a bit of a harsh yell. I mean, I suppose they'll argue it's sort of it would have been a try scoring opportunity. So now we're going to have to update the scoreboard. Give the home side. Yep, so the Sharks have got a yellow card, so Werner Koch will sit in the bin for the next 10 minutes. Meanwhile, Farrell has kicked towards the corner, and I think this could be it. You know, the Sharks down to 14 men. They were kind of getting into the game, not really capitalizing so much, and down to 14 men for the next 10 minutes. This could be problems for the Sharks. I really like Werner Koch as a player. I just wish I'd chuck him in the centre. He's physically so good. He's such a good defender. Big Ronnie Moore here from the Lions. They've got some good momentum. A little bit lateral from them. Still going. It's still going. Yeah, this will be a try time. Over they go. Jaco Paper looking for some grounding. He's blown twice, says Jaco Paper. He hasn't awarded the try. We're going upstairs. He doesn't see a grounding, does Jaco Paper, so maybe the Sharks getting away with this one. So the on-field decision here is no try. So Jaco Paper saying that he doesn't see any clear grounding. So maybe the Sharks have done well to defend this. I thought it would have, it looked like it was going to be a definite try. I mean, the momentum that the Lions had, they would have done well to have butchered this, really. I've got no idea where this ball is. Oh, there's the ball. Cowan Dickey now trying to get the ball down. Is he in control? He loses it forward, does Cowan Dickey. literally over the try line, had the ball in his hand. All he had to do was just squeeze it down, but he loses the ball. So I think it actually will be lost forward. Which is fair play then to Jaco Paper. I thought it looked, I didn't see how it wouldn't be able to retry the way that Mauler was going sort of one way. But yeah, they've got away with that with the Sharks. Gradsard says the Sharks can't play Wintercock at centre because where they fit the deeply average Marius Lowe. I just don't understand why he didn't. He had one game then. He looked really, really good to Wintercock, and they've never gone back there. So it'll be a scrum here, which probably is not the worst idea for the Lions. I mean, with they can sort of. I mean, it's obviously a Sharks put in, but if they can put in a big scrum here, if they win the penalty, the first thing I would do is ask for another scrum. There's going to be a man overlap with no Wintercock, who's also one of the Sharks' best defenders. So that would be an easy try, I think, if they had some go forward ball of their own scrum. Scrum's gone down once again. We'll have a reset here from Jaco Paper. Let me get my clock back on. So a decent coaching staff recently announced by the Sharks, and they brought a scrum consultant in, a former Georgian international player who's supposed to be helping out with the scrums. Obviously, it wouldn't have made much of a difference. I think he's only been there for about a week. But I think it's a nice move for them because their scrums really have been disappointing. You know, even when they've had Thomas Totoy and Oxen Chair. So something that they need to work on. And then penalty for the Sharks, a scrum penalty for the Sharks. That's a nice result from them. Lots of celebrations there from the Sharks. A couple of shoves in the face here, just to try and get to know each other a little bit. But that's a big moment for the Sharks. You know, to get a scrum penalty under pressure and stuff like that, it's a big moment for them. So Cohen Bosch will now have a free rein to just try and kick it as far as he can downfield, get themselves out of danger. Jobber Guru says Sharks are good at killing talent. Why is Anthony Folmick not in the starting team? Yeah, well, I mean, for me, I would have had Anthony Folmick at 14. I would have had Wintercock at 13, and then roll the dice if you have Marius Lowe or Jeremy Ward at inside centre. That's what I would have done. But I am not Sean Everett and his men. So yeah, this is a nice penalty to win. Nice penalty to win. But Akavita you can see his legs just buckling underneath him. Huge moment for Kwesi Mona. So, line on the halfway line. They're going to the back towards Pepsi Buthelezi. Solid win from him. Going to Cohen Bosch. He'll go to... it's Messi, and Josh Navidi has turned it over. Cohen Bosch. That's a knock-on advantage for the Lions. Now Temelani Borley trying to go through. So it's slow ball for Ali Price, who goes to Owen Farrell, who now puts a grabber through. And Reece Zammett's actually... he's knocked it on, I think, has he? Yeah, he's knocked it on as Reece Zammett, and it's a penalty for holding on from Jeremy Ward. Very, very well played from Jeremy Ward. Reece Zammett guilty of holding on, and the Sharks just keeping in this game through the lack of discipline from the Lions. We didn't really see this on the weekend. The British and Irish Lions were very good at not giving away penalties and being very direct. I mean, there's a knock on there from Reece Zammett, and then he holds the ball on, so it's a penalty for the Sharks. Grant Source, the Sharks have American dollar now. I'm sure that we will see Matt Proudfoot in Durban soon. That would be a massive coup. If they can get Matt Proudfoot down there, that would be huge from them. So 23 minutes so far, 17 minutes to go until half time. The Sharks very much in it. I mean, after the two tries in the opening sort of 5 minutes, we thought, oh, well, here we go. It's going to be a long evening. But they've responded nicely of the Sharks, and I think they'll be frustrated if they can't get a try on the board before half time because they've deserved it. They really have had some good moments so far of the Sharks. They just need to make those moments count. Down to 40 men, of course, are the Sharks. Solid line win from Miniel Hugo. Temelani Borley now in the midfield. Big hit on him from Josh Navidi and Owen Farrell. Once again, trying to carry him up, hold him up. So I think Borley's going to have to try and go a little bit lower in the collision next half. Yep, it's been turned over. It was a big hit on Borley from Farrell and Josh Navidi. And the first thing they tried to do was hold him up. Didn't have a lot of support from the Sharks players at Temelani Borley, and it's a turnover for the Lions. You'll have a scrum on the halfway line. I think he's just going to have to go a little bit lower as Borley. You can see that the Lions try to do this as well with Japan, as well to a certain extent with the Sigma Lions, whereas as soon as they hit the collision, try and stand, keep them up and hold them up. Ian Henderson, the captain for tonight, also coming in as well, so by the time it goes down to ground, it's a more Gregor Townsend's there, Warren Gatlin's there. Not quite sure who else is there from the Lions coaching staff. Please do keep smashing a like on the video. We're 71 viewers with 15 likes. Try and see if we can get up to 20 likes before half time. If you haven't subscribed already, please do subscribe as well. Grant Swartz, the British Irish Lions are really going all out on the choke tackles. Yeah, you can see they're hitting them nice and high and keeping them up as much as they can. And then that's just going to result in more scrums. And look, the scrum battle, I suppose, is sort of 1-1 at the moment with the Sharks winning that penalty there. But I do kind of feel it's a bit of a matter of time before this Lions, it's once again gone down. Oh, it's come on. Link to watch this game live is in the description. You can check out how to watch that there. We've got instructions and everything, as well as a special offer from ExpressVPN. If you sign up for a year subscription, you can get 3 months free. The link is in the description down there, just for you, the Forever Sports viewers. Gareth McKenzie says, Werner Kok is such a physical player and will be so effective at the 10 If you consider that on the 7th circuit, he was considered one of the most physical players. As I said, Werner Kok at 13 just makes sense. We've seen Ruan Null at 13 at Stormers. He got into the box squad at 13. I think Werner Kok could be even better than Null was. He's so good. He's got such a good. That's going to be a big penalty for the Lions. Jaden Henderson has played Sam Simmons, so they've got an advantage to the Lions. Farrell now stabbing it in behind. It's a very nice kick. It's going to sit up. Duvan van der Merwe grabs it ahead. Duvan van der Merwe is over for a second, and the British and Irish Lions, after weathering the storm, have scored. Big scrum from them. We've seen it before from Farrell, just stabbing the kick in behind. It's set up nicely for Duvan van der Merwe. He just had to sort of grab it a little bit further on before jumping on. His second try in the match. He's got 3 tries in 3 Lions appearances for the former South African wing. It's a perfect grabber. Just holds up just before. He's got the pace to do in front of Merv. That's the perfect way to kick from him. Some techers, little techers from the Scottish wing. He goes over. Kai Bates says 7's rugby is the base of rugby. And how much time for Kok left? I think it's about 2 minutes now for Kok. Thank you very much for smashing the like. We were over 20 likes, so we'll just keep that ticking over. Duvan van der Merwe was the top try scorer in the 2021 Six Nations. He scored 8 tries for Scotland. He's currently got 3 in 2 matches for the Lions. Quite a nice story for him. I'm chuffed for him. I don't know why there's any sort of animosity against him. We decided we didn't need him. He's gone over there. He's made a big impact. He's playing good rugby. You know, I would have liked to have seen his brother, Aka van der Merwe, in the box squad. But I'm happy for Duvan. I don't understand why there's any animosity. You know, if he's gone overseas, he's gone and made a career over there. The hardest kick of the night for Owen Farrell is officially less than 2 minutes for Werner Kok. He's got 1 minute and 45 seconds remaining in the bin. So Owen Farrell right on the left-hand side of the touchline. He's placed the ball by the 22. It's starting towards the right. It'll curl in. It'll go slide off to the right, I think. So he's missed that, has Owen Farrell. So the score will remain 19-0. Sharks unable to put any points on the board. I'm very interested to see what happens in the second half. As I said, only one backline player available for the Lions, and that's Finn Russell. Which, if you ask me which one backline player would you like to see, Finn Russell would probably be up there. You know, probably Elliot Daly or Owen Farrell in terms of their versatility. But I think, you know, if you have to bring one player on, you can just try and create something with a couple of forwards in and around him. I think Finn Russell could be quite an interesting player. Werner Kok warming up, and that's a mistake from Kern Bosch. Just keep this chain to touch. You can't afford to do that. You can't afford to do that. When you're under the cosh, you're under pressure, you can't afford to kick it straight into touch. So we'll restart with a scrum on the halfway line, which is what started that try in the first place. You know, it was a big scrum from the Lions. They had an advantage, kicked in behind, scored the try, and once again, you know, with 11 minutes left on the clock, Marco Vinapo is going to have another go at Kuta Mkuna on the halfway line and try and win themselves a penalty. Yeah, I think it could get a little bit ugly. Hugh says 60-pointer win game for the Lions. And he thinks, yeah, look, as I said, you know, I think a lot of people gave the Sigma Lions stick, but I think that we could almost be entering similar scoreline territory unless the Sharks come and firing in the second half. Donovan Drake says, where can I watch this game? Check out the comments. Lloyd says, come on, the Sharks. Any sort of points for half time will do. Yeah, well, I might just get to the case. That's a penalty for the Sharks from the scrum. That's a big scrum from the Sharks. Kuta Mkuna. Well, I'll tell you what, Lucanio Chongweni, who's a scrum coach for Rhodes University, said that, you know, there's going to be two. Kuta Mkuna, when he pitches up, can scrum. So he said it'll depend on which Kuta pitches up. But so far, he's won 2 penalties against Marco Vinopola. So that's a big win for him. In fact, I should be getting him on the stream and saying, good call, good call. So, with 11 minutes to go, 8 penalties conceded from the British and Irish Lions, 3 from the Sharks. So the Sharks' discipline's not been bad. Curran Bosch has found touch. That's a great kick. He had all the angle to work with, and he's found touch on the 5 meters. So the Sharks can try and respond in the perfect fashion. Sean Farrell says, I think they will move Farrell to 12 and bring on Russell for 10. That's what I think for the second half. Owen Farrell played a full 80 on Saturday. Look, the nice thing for the Lions, because there's no Bulls game this weekend, they will have a week rest, so they can play as 2 consecutive 80s in Saturday, Wednesday. I do think that I think Owen Farrell will probably shift to centre. I'm interested to see what they do with all the forwards. Are they going to tell all their backline players, listen, can you just play a full 80? The Sharks solid win from them. They've used the crash ball here, not going for the maul, so they're inside 22. Kutam Kuna, that's a big tackle on him from Cowan Dickey. Bit of a messy ball there. It's another big hit on Pepsi Buthelezi this time. So the Sharks taking a bit of a hammering in the contact, but they've got ball available for Jaden Hendrickson. This time Fez and Barter. Keep going left are the Sharks. Temelani Boli carries Ian Henderson with him, but they haven't made the fact they've actually gone backwards have the Sharks, so it's very good defense here from the Lions. Now Ruben van Heerden. Quick defense on him from Sam Simmons. Jaden Hendrickson goes to Curran Bosch. Now what will Curran Bosch do? Marius Lowe. Just get in the bin. Get in the bin. Can't do that. Easy inside pop, and he's knocked it forward. Ali Price, there's nobody at home, has put to the boot. It's going to be contestable. It's actually going to probably run out. Oh my living, that's a great kick. So, Marius Lowe knocking the ball ahead. Ali Price realizing there's nobody at home, putting a brilliant kick over the back, and it's gone out well inside the 22. That's just all on Marius Lowe. You can't afford to make those sort of basic errors. You want to try and be contest. You can't be Curran Bosch and kick out in the full. You can't be Marius Lowe and knock the ball on there. You've got to be on point tonight. So defensive line out now for the Sharks. Fez and Bart's going to try and find probably Ruben van Heerden. In fact, they're going to go to Reniel Hugo at the back. It's uncontested by the end, so it's clean ball there. And once again, Temelani Boli is measuring up Cowan Dickey. Oh, that's a horrible hit from him. Cowan Dickey taking his legs, and he crashed into Josh Navidi. He's a tough lad, as Temelani Boli, so he'll probably be okay. Curran Bosch will now go to the boot and try and kick themselves out of trouble, and he finds touch at about the 10-meter line. I'm hoping that Temelani Boli is okay. He took a massive hit there. Luke Cowan Dickey, they've gone very, very low in the tackle, have the British and Irish Lions. You can see sort of a bit of sort of ankle breaker tackles. They are wrapping their arms, so there's nothing illegal in it. See, Curran Bosch already 8 kicks from hand so far in the first 30 seconds. The Lions going deep into the line out, and Bundy Aki goes out to Owen Farrell. They keep going, and Sam Simmons now bursts through. The first sort of notable carry we've seen. Pick up and go, but the pop comes out. Duvan van der Merwe now finds himself on the right-hand side. We'll fix the scoreboard now, so it's a little bit... and Josh Navidi, has he fumbled? No, he hasn't. So it's backward ball here from the Lions. Elliot Daly wrapping around. Has found Tom Curry, who finds himself on the wing. He's getting himself up to speed. Jaden Hendrickson will with his ankles. Now Luke Cowan Dickey. He's got players around him. Ali Price goes inside. The ball goes a little bit right. And Pepsi Buthelezi, the captain, is there to clean up. He tries to get away from Ian Henderson, who eventually brings him down. Now James Fenter goes to the left. Fez and Barter goes to Werner Koch. The Lions now after the kick in the middle midfield, going down the right hand side. That's a forward pass. Ref, that's a forward. Yeah, so I'll fix the scoreboard now. It's just all a little bit hectic. Yeah, so Werner Koch's back on, so we can take away the yellow card. So I download the ExpressVPN, still doesn't work. So you've got to subscribe to one of the. So step 2 in the description, you've got to subscribe to either a Peacock TV or a Sky Sports, something like that. There's no free way to watch this game. It's all paid TV. So. Peacock TV is the cheapest way to do it. It's $5, and you can watch the entire Lions tour. So I recommend doing that. Grant Swart says, Sean, we're interested to see that combo. Owen Farrell seemed like he would not work well with the Russell at 10. I think he was alright on the weekend with that combo. You saw them trying to go from wing to wing pretty quickly, and I think that it worked quite well for them. But yeah, 6 minutes to go before half time. 19-0 is the score. The Sharks need some points. They need some points. They've had the chances, but just basics. Basics have been letting them down. 24 likes. See if you can get up to 30 before half time. If you haven't, please do smash a like. Scrum down here. Looks like a decent hit. Oh, there comes the pressure from the Lions, but it's available for Jaden Hendrickson. Cohen Bosch immediately going to the boot, playing a bit of a territory game. Reece Zammit has been turned, but and he sort of fumbles it backwards. Now Reece Zammit will return the kick. He's got a very nice boost on him, does Reece Zammit. So Cohen Bosch is all the way back inside his 22. He's got quite a lot of angle to work with if he wants to find touch. He leaves the safety to the 22, going to Liebach. They're going to look to try and run as Liebach going himself. Abraham's down the wing, cuts inside of Bundy Aki, cuts inside of Tom Curry. He's still going as Abrahams. Gets up to the 22. Brilliant run from him. Sharks need quick ball here. Jaden Hendrickson provides that. Marius Lowe now going himself. Oh, and he's throwing the pass straight into the chest of FC Buthelezi, who knocks it on. Maybe should have taken that, but Marius Lowe probably should have just kept it in hand. As he's going down, throwing a bit of a miracle pop to Pepsi Buthelezi. Brilliant stuff down the nostalgia from Abrahams. It's Molly Liebach, and he steps away from 1, 2. Bursts through the middle, does Abrahams. Got a nice turn of pace, does. It gets away from Ian Henderson as well, as was the tackle there. Eventually brought down from Duvan van der Merwe. And with the Sharks, with the Lions players retreating, knocking it on. Marius Lowe deciding to go himself. As he hits the contact, yeah, it's a horrible pass. I mean, he hits the shoulder of Pepsi Buthelezi. What's he supposed to do? Just take the contact, Marius Lowe. Grant Swartz, Marius Lowe showing that even Curry Cup is too high for me. He hasn't been good tonight. And Devin Drake says, do you think SA with the team they have this year could win British and Irish Lions because they have so many players still overseas like Ches and Colby? Well, if you're talking about SA sides, probably not. In terms of the Springboks, obviously Ches and Colby and the bunch, they're all back. Colby's in South Africa, he's training with the box and stuff like that. We've got time off here as Marius Lowe gets some treatment. And I'll tell you what I would do. I'll tell you, Jeremy Ward, go straight to inside centre, you put Anthony Folnick on the wing, and you put Werner Koch outside. Grant Swartz, Marius Lowe, Sean Everett's son-in-law. Maybe he's dating his daughter. Who knows? But yeah, I must admit, I'm not a massive Marius Lowe fan. I think he's a decent player, but nothing special. Put it this way, I certainly don't watch him and think that's a future Springbok, for example. So yeah. Looks like he's alright to continue. Is Marius Lowe. A little bit of discomfort. I think he's off actually. He's limping here. Yeah, he can barely walk. I think this is Marius Lowe off. Do you think SA would win, yes or no? Yeah, I think that I've always backed the Boks. They've got a full contingent. Yeah, I do think that they can win. I'm always going to back them, my boys. He's going to try to continue as Marius Lowe. He's now, running it off. So we're going to resume with a scrum on the 22 of the Lions. And the Sharks, I mean, they should have gotten some points, but at this stage, they'll probably take a 19-0 at half-time. Go and have some oranges. In fact, just punish them. Have some lemons or something. The problem is, in terms of the bench, they've got a 6-2 split to the Sharks, and unfortunately, they're not really going to get much of a bomb squad impact. With Reniel Hugo already on the park after Hiron Andrews received that injury. But you still have Dinner Richardson on, and I'll put Dinner Richardson on quite quickly. Because Dinner Richardson is very good over the ball. And if you can't stop the speed at which that's a big scrum from the Lions. Oh yeah, that's a huge scrum. That's kind of what I was waiting for. Massive scrum. They were just pretty much walking after that. Damon J's not because you're backing, but Lions are strong this year. Yeah, the Lions are very strong this year, but the Lions are always pretty strong, to be honest. And to be fair, I think that it's not a fair reflection looking at the South African sides because the bulk of the Springbok squad don't play the rugby in South Africa. So, the South African sides are very much weakened as they are. So it's difficult to be able to sort of gauge how good the British and Irish Lions are after playing a Japan side which hadn't played any rugby since the World Cup, playing against a Sigma Lions side who weren't even at their full strength, and now playing a Sharks side who are not at full strength either. So it's difficult to sort of gauge just exactly where the British and Irish Lions are. Look, there's also an argument to be made that we don't know where the Boks are, given the fact that they've only played one game against Georgia. But Springboks are world champions for a reason. Rassie Rasmussen and Jacques Nienaber will have a plan. And that's a brilliant run through the middle from Sam Simmons. This is what we've been waiting to see. I mean, he does. That's not a forward. That's not a forward. I'll tell you what. I think he's one of the quickest players in the British and Irish Lions. He gets up to the 22 for the Lions. Big run down the middle there from Tad Furlong. Quick ball from Andy Price. Owen Farrell stabs at the head. Reece Zammit is competing with Jaden Hendrickson. Goes up for the line out. Whose ball is it going to be? Big call here from Wayne Barnes. There's a contestable cross kick between Reece Zammit and Jaden Hendrickson. So they still haven't decided which way it's going to go. That was a brilliant run from Sam Simmons. That's what we've been waiting to see. The burst of speed down in the middle. I mean, but that's just, as I said, I mean, to think that he's an eighth man is unbelievable. It looks like it's eventually been given to the Sharks. Yeah, it will be a Sharks line out there. They're pretty much on if there was an 8-meter line, this is where it would be. So Pheasant Barter's got to nail his line out jumper here. What's going on here? Time is off. I think it's an injury. I don't know what's going on there. Reniel Hugo's calling for a couple of players to have a chat. The clock's not... What is going on here? Oh, it's actually been changed. Okay, so it's going to be a Lions line out now, which is a brilliant attacking position. Ian Henson goes straight up. They're really going to try to set the maul. It's initially good defense from the Sharks as the Lions try to set up their running maul here. It's Calvin Dickey who's controlling it at the back. And Temelani Borley looks to have gone through the middle. Like Calvin Dickey bursts through the middle. Eventually gets brought down. Verticock and Curran Ball. Bundy Aki picks up and goes. That is woeful. Woeful. That is such poor defense. It's not good defense. Bundy Aki is over. Another try here. I mean, the fourth try. The metaphoric bonus point, if you will. It's just horrible defense, though. You know, and that's the thing. You know, Cowan Dickey, I mean, it's Verticock makes a reasonable tackle with the help of Curran Bosch, and Bundy Aki just picks up and goes. He pretty much doesn't get touched. It's James Fenter who tries to stop him. Yeah, it's not good defense at all. It's too easy for Bundy Aki to go over there and score his try. He's second of the night, I believe. No, first of the night. Yeah, it's not good defense, and I think that's probably the frustration is that, you know, I can understand our SA teams. I can understand, you know, if you're going to lose the scrums. I can understand struggling at line-out time maybe. I can understand if they're sort of going wide and stuff like that. But, you know, basic one-on-one tackling. I said the same thing on Saturday. You know, when PJ Boerter slipped that tackle, when Dan Creel slipped that tackle, that's inexcusable. You've got to make your tackles. So, like there, you know, it's just far too easy for Bundy Aki to go. And Owen Farrell should be able to, I mean, it's pretty much, it's a fairly simple kick. It's just inside the 10-meter line, yeah. So, if he slots, this will be 26-0 at the half-time break. Not looking good for the Sharks at all. Owen Farrell's kicked well so far. I mean, he's racking up quite a few points to this tour. So, I mean, he had a lot of conversions to make over the weekend. This will be his fourth, of which he's converted 2 already. Make that 3. It sails through the middle. The siren goes. 26-0 is the half-time score. The Sharks struggling. The sea of red is definitely causing a lot of problems, and they've got to try and sort of shape up. I don't know what they change. I don't know what you do at halftime to try and get this side to sort of mount a challenge, but the answer is probably quite a lot. Please do smash a like in the video. I'm going to have to take a quick break. I'll be back in just a few seconds, and then we'll go through some of the stats. It is halftime in the Ellis Park. 26-0. The Sharks have not scored a single point, and the British and Irish Lions have found they're going pretty easy so far. Please do continue smashing the like, continue subscribing, and I'll be back in a few. We're back. I'm back. We're back. Rugby's not back here. We'll have to wait a couple minutes for that. But yeah, let's see what's happening in the chat and stuff like that. Let me know what you reckon. What's going to happen in the second half? What are we reckoning here? What's the story? What are your initial thoughts of that first half? Let me know. Let's see. So Reynolds plays, come on Sharks, not like us. Yeah, come on Sharks, be a bit of a challenge. Lloyd says dark days lie ahead. Kevin KCC, we're not sure if you can explain how to make Peacock work. I tried paying via CC and PayPal and didn't work. It seems you have to have a US issued CC. I don't know. I haven't had any issues with Peacock TV, to be honest. So I'm trying to remember which was the second cheapest option. It's in the video in the channel. I looked at the different options, stuff like that. So Peacock TV is working. There are a couple of other options which are a bit cheaper. I don't know. So I've never had that issue before. Hugh says Sharks are now fishing themselves. Sean Fell says the Sharks need to wake up, or they will suffer the same result as the last game the British Irish Lions played. I think it could be a little bit worse actually, the rate it's going. T-Rex Games says Lowe's hurting the Sharks too much. He kills the little opportunities they get. Agreed. No banks tonight. No, it's a Wednesday, Grant. We'll just stick to the beer tonight. We'll sort of keep the brandy for some special occasions and stuff like that. It's been a bit of an onslaught so far from the British Irish Lions, who I think probably could have scored more. The Sharks frustrating that they haven't scored points because they had opportunities, they had chances to try and score some points. So I think that it was quite poor that they couldn't sort of put those away. A couple of basic areas. I think that's the frustrating thing. Is it's one thing if you just get outplayed, but at the moment the Sharks are kind of becoming their own worst enemies, where they're conceding too many penalties or basic mistakes. Too many knock-ons, and it's just, and that's the one thing. You can kind of get a team being better. Of course they need to be better. It's a test match side, but it's the error rate I think which is so frustrating because you can't. There's no excuse for that. There's no excuse for basic knock-ons. There's no excuse for missing one-on-one tackles. It's just been a bad game from the Sharks. We'll look at some of the stats here. So possession-wise, actually pretty even. 52% possession for the British Irish Lions, 48% for the Sharks. 53% possession for the Lions, 47% for the Sharks. 175 meters run compared to 179, so it's pretty even. 16 defenders beaten from the Lions compared to the 10 of the Sharks. 5 clean breaks to 2, 36 gain line carries to 34. Tackles made. This is the problem for the Sharks. They're operating a tackle success rate of 65%. They've made 30 of 46 tackles. That is not good enough. You don't win rugby games like that. The Lions, on the other hand, have missed 10 tackles. They made 43 of 53 tackles, operating at an 81% tackle success rate. Ruck success, 97% for both of them. Line-out success, the British Irish Lions haven't lost a single line-out, whereas the Sharks have lost 1. Scrums, the British Irish Lions have actually won 3 out of 4, whereas the Sharks have won 2 out of 2. Penalties conceded. 10 penalties conceded by the Lions compared to 4 from the Sharks. So it's not a discipline issue. It's an error issue. It's basics. It's silly knock-ons. It's passes which aren't there. It's 50-50. You gotta just keep it a little bit. Sometimes you got to keep it simple, a couple of crash balls, run a few phases, keep it nice and simple. If it's not working for you, make it simple. You can't just try and go, you got to earn the right to be creative. You got to earn the right to try and do things a little bit differently. Aviator says the Sharks really miss Andre Estehez and Morris Lowe is not the guy to take the Sharks forward. We need to buy a quality 12. Yeah, I've always said the Sharks, I think, at 12, maybe a hooker, although I think, and they've got Bongi Manambi. So I think at 12 and maybe a lock would probably be in the sort of the horizon. They've got a lot of blocks to do the Sharks, but I'm not sure they're top quality. Sharks need to learn how to slow down the ball at the breakdown. Well, that's why I reckon we could see Dylan Richardson gone quite soon, because I think that he's somebody who's a master of the breakdown. It's the same issue as the Lions. When you've got quick ball, the Lions they're gonna run you down. So they need to be more competitive with the breakdown. Try and stop that quick ball because the Wings are just having an absolute party. Lloyd Lewis is still optimistic. I think the Sharks will get their act together in the second half. Final score 44-15. It wouldn't be the best final score, but I suppose better than what the current sort of forecast is. FMPSU says, I feel like Springboks are in for a beating against British Irish Lions because we have played one game since 2019. We looked rusty. Yeah, that game against Georgia being cancelled is not an ideal situation at all. So we'll have to make sure we hit our straps. I'm very interested to see the sort of SAA team we will see next week Wednesday. Because usually SAA is supposed to be a Springbok B team basically, but I don't think we can afford to field a Springbok B team because a lot of these players haven't played enough rugby. FNTSG, I feel like if we can at least get an international game, even a tier 3 nation before the British Irish game, there'll be certain preparation. There's not enough time, I don't think. I mean, it's the 7th of July, the first test on the 24th of July, so We've got 2 Saturdays left. It's far. I mean, we had to cancel the game this weekend because of COVID cases. So 17th of July is the only time we'd be able to, or the 16th of July is the only time the Springboks would be able to get a game in. We can't get it. We can't get another nation in here. And I mean, we've got a field of the SAA side next week Wednesday, which is all coming out of the same squad. So yeah, the Springboks will not take the field until they take the British Irish Lions, which is very, very worrying. Hopefully we can try and pull something out of the bag. I don't know how we're going to do it. I don't know how we're going to be able to sort of replicate that sort of intensity in training. It's a massive, massive ask. So yeah, let me know what your sort of final score predictions are. Where we're sort of sitting. What do we reckon is going to happen towards the end? You know, is Josh Adams going to add to his tally? Is it going to be a little bit closer in the second half? Which benches are going to make a difference? You know, what are we going to see the benches? You know, because the Lions only have one backline player. So are they going to back Duvan, Josh Adams? I mean, look, Reece Samet. So who played on Saturday? Reece Samet, Elliot Daly, Farrell, Ali Price, as well as who am I missing them in the backline? No, I think that's pretty much it for the backline. They all played on Saturday. So, you know, can they all play full 80s? Are they going to ask Ali Price to play back-to-back full 80s? You know, is Owen Farrell going to play back-to-back full 80s? I think Reece Samet played actually full 80 as well. So interesting to see what the subs will be, because I mean, are they going to go with a whole new pack, or are they going to try play a backline player in? I mean, a forward in the backline. I'm very interested to see how they use their subs. Hugh says Sharks need to learn. They're trying to attack Rook's drift. Gavin McKenzie says British Lions best international players in 4 countries in a pro fresh game. The Sharks fielding a B team. We got to stop thinking that every SA team will beat any opposition. No, definitely. I think, as I said, the only side which I think would be best placed to take on the Lions are the Bulls, who are, after the Sigma Lions, the least affected by the Springboks. You know, they've only lost 6 players. And they've got some very good players in. You know, I mean, they could have Jan Goosen playing. They could have Jacques Duplessis playing. So it's such a big ask for a union to try and take on the British Irish Lions, even more so than it was in 2009. Because 2009, the majority of our players were still playing in South Africa. You know, you put... you look at the 2017-18 Lions squad, the Sigma Lions squad, and you put, you know, Ackerman back as head coach, and you put Faf de Klerk back on the side, Akker van der Merwe, Malcolm Marks, and, you know, Ruan Ackerman, and if Warren Whiteley was still fit, and, you know, all those sort of players, Kwagga Smith back, and you bring back Rowan Jansen van Rensburg, and all those sort of players, it's a whole different team, you know. So the fact that we've got so many players who play overseas, now we've got Springboks not available. It's an extended Springbok squad as well. So there should be players who should be available for the unions that probably aren't. You know, I want to see the Similani, you know, is probably not in the final sort of block 35-man squad, a 30-man squad. He could have been available for the Lions. You know, something like Skara Intabeni, for example, he should be available for the Western Province. We know he's not within the top 2 or top 3 hookers for the Stormers. So it's a very... I don't think that the British Irish Lions have never played such weak unions. It's a variety of factors that have made it... That have resulted in this, but that's just sort of the reality. So it's a massive, massive ask. SAA, I think, will be interesting. That, in theory, is your best, you know, your second best 15 or 23 in the country. So they'll hopefully try and give them a good go. Sean Farrell saying British and Irish Lions 50, Sharks 30. So, yeah, I mean, that's a big comeback from the Sharks second half. I hope you can see that. Grant Swart says the worst thing for the Lions will be to win the first test. They'll face a fired-up Bok team in test 2 and 3. Yeah, it'll be quite a nice sort of situation, you know, if the Boks can respond. I just hope that the third test, the game, the tour is still in the balance. You know, as a Bok fan, I'm not going to complain if we go and win, you know, the first 2 tests, for example. But it'll be really, really nice if that third test is a decider, and if, you know, we go into that waiting to see what will happen. Two Dogs Gaming says put Fulmick on and put Cock at 13. Agreed. And Hugh says Grant 3-0. It'll be for the Lions. Yeah, a lot of people are predicting 3-0. I think that, you know, you never write off this box squad. It depends on who's fit as well. You know, if we can get Arceus Neyman back, and if we can get Lut Diago obviously fit, if we can get not Chesn Colby, if we can make sure Damien Delendi's ready and stuff like that. There's still a lot of very good players, and you think a lot of these players have been playing top level rugby at some of the top. I mean, we've got likes of Chesn Colby, Rand Ulster. They've actually won a double. You know, we had a lot of players playing in the Premiership final. Fortunately, a lot of players were coming down here. So it's still a good box squad. But time together is always an issue. So they'll have a lot of time now to train. They'll have an SAA side for next week, and after that they'll have a full sort of 10 days to really just gear themselves up towards that British and Irish Lions game. But it is always going to be a massive, massive ask for them. So yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, you know, whatever sort of we put on the field, be a good side, but whether they can come together. Is Etzebeth going to be fit? Big sort of concerns. But for tonight, for the Sharks, I don't know what they do. I think that they have to put on Dylan Richardson, because I think that breakdown is killing them, and they've got to try and bring on someone who's going to try and slow things down, maybe try and win a few balls on the ground. I think you probably have to look at, as I think it was 2 Gaming said, you've got to look at bringing on. I think you have to take Marius Lowe. I think he's been very ineffective at inside centre. So I think you're going to have to say Jeremy Ward, do a job at inside, put Werner Koch at outside. Hopefully the defence will be a little bit better, and follow Miko down the wings with a lot of pace. But yeah, it's difficult. Grant Williams is a nice scrum off to bring on. But, I mean, your other players, Jennifer Namesh adds a bit of grunt. I think the replacement front row, I think you're going to struggle a little bit. I think Tuko Mkuna's got a lot to learn at scrum time. I think Vian Herbst's a better scrummager. So, it's going to be an interesting second half, if nothing else. John Nell says, if the Bulls game is going to continue, do you think they will beat them for the second time? Well, funny thing is that, I think that the game being postponed on Saturday actually might help the Bulls, because if the Bulls do play the British and Irish Lions, they'll play their second team, because it'll be in between test matches. Or it'll be in the same week as a test. So they'll play on Tuesday and there'll be a test match on the Saturday. So the British and Irish Lions won't be fielding their best players against that Bulls team. So I think that they'll probably be best fitted. It also gives them an extra week or two to bring in Goosen, Duplessis, Ruben Combrink, Lionel Poe. They can try and sort of get settled in. FNTSG, Werner Koch having a good game on the wing, just that yellow card. Yeah, I just think he's wasted on the wing though. That sort of ball carrying that we saw in that run down the wing. Let's see it outside centre. Let's try and see it more. The players are out for the second half. We'll wait and see if there are any halftime substitutions. Ian Henderson obviously still in the park, captaining the side tonight. So it's up to get our scoreboard here. Get our clock back up. There we go. A couple of running repairs for Jaco Paper, so we had a bit of a delay. So it'll be the Lions playing left to right tonight. Well, not tonight, in the second half. And they've got kickoff as well. Do you watch Sevens Rugby? I do watch Sevens Rugby when it's on. I'm very keen for the Olympics. We're going to be doing kind of a bit of Olympic coverage for the South Africans, because there's quite a cool, some interesting people to watch and stuff like that. So we'll try and do some Olympic coverage as well. This is Forever Sports, not just Forever Rugby. So we'll dabble in a little bit of Olympic stuff, especially for the Sevens. We'll probably do, I reckon for that Sevens Rugby, what we'll probably do is just get like an all-day watch-along. And we'll get Lacanio, we'll get Sean, and we'll just take shifts and we'll just watch rugby all day, which would be really, really fun. Jaco Paper just sorting out his comms. Please do continue smashing that like button. Also, if you are new, please do subscribe. Please hit that subscribe button. Let's try and see if we can build on a few subscribers tonight. John Nell says the Box playing one game in the Lions 8 or more. How will we compete if we are playing only one game? Well, there's no better way to test yourself. I think it's a Lions side. It's going to be a big ask. But what can we do? It's the situation we find ourselves in. There we go. Short kickoff there from Owen Farrell. Elliot Daly's up early. I think he's actually knocked it on though. Yeah, that is. So we'll have an early scrum here. Owen Farrell going short isn't quite an interesting call. Elliot Daly was there to compete but knocked it on. Grant Swart says Lions should have played Namibia in another warm-up match. Yeah, that would have been actually quite a cool fixture actually. I was almost kind of hoping that we are going to manage to try and get a Georgian game. The concept of that was sounded quite cool to me. It would have been quite something different. We'll have a scrum here earlier on in the second half. I must admit, the scrums haven't been as good as I thought they would be for the Lions. They've had some big ones. But I thought that, I don't really rate the Sharks front row. So I've actually been impressed by how they've managed to sort of keep things. Kuta Nkuna's come through a couple of times, so it's a credit to him. But big ask for Tuko Nkuma and Vian Herbst to come on and do a job later on this half. It's an advantage for the Sharks. So Jaden Henderson will use this. Curran Bosch will go straight to Molly Liebach. Jamie Ward gets wrapped up by Elliot Daly. They'll go back for the penalties. That's a very nice start for the Sharks. Nice scrum penalty there. I mean, it looked like Kwesi Mono went on, and he's having a couple of words. He's quite fired up. So it's a nice penalty win there. John and now the Sigmund Lions played so much better than the Sharks. I think that, yeah, although, I mean, Yeah, I think they probably did. I think they had a little bit more fight in them. I think, to be fair, up until about the 55th minute, the Sigma Lions were kind of there and thereabout. They had scored some points. They looked like they could score some more. The Sharks just haven't really looked like scoring. They've had really good opportunities inside the British and Irish Lions half, but they haven't taken them. They haven't actually been able to convert the points. And you've got to get some points. I mean, if it's nil, that's a big thing to take. If you can, even if you score a lot of points, if you can go in and you can say, cool, we scored a try, we scored 2 tries, it would be a nice sort of go-to. But they've butchered it. They butchered it. Vodka Vinipola is on a run. He's being brought down by Werner Koch, and that's the problem. That sums up the Sharks. It's not even a case of being outplayed. They're their enemies of their own enemies at the moment. Far too many mistakes. Owen Farrell has turned. Liebach now will go to the air. Abraham's chasing. He's actually jumped onto Ali Price, and Navidi gets back and a little past him between his legs. Owen Farrell spots a bit of space down the right. And Reece Zaman is tearing off this. It's going to be horrible for Marty Liebach to try and recover. He's trying to run away. He's actually done very well to run away from a couple of players. He goes to Werner Koch. Werner Koch goes inside of Bundy Aki's by himself. He's done very well to get away from him. Oh, he bounced off Josh Navidi. The handoff coming there as well. Werner Koch's having a great game. Got a yellow card, but he's having a good game. Hendrickson, now Bosch. Oh, little chip ahead from him. Marius Lowe chasing it, and Hendrickson is there to clean up, but I think it's offside for Marius Lowe, or is it Jade Henschler who's offside? It's a penalty to the Lions. That's a horrible, horrible mistake there to make, because it's very good territory to get to the corner. Grant says, Marco Vinipola, better hope the Kovac keeps France Mahub away from the box squad. I expect him to be better tonight. And John says, our second teams don't take out opportunities like overseas teams. Yeah, I think that's the biggest problem with the Sharks. They've had chances, but just too many errors. Owen Farrell asking for an off-the-ball tackle there. And that wasn't what the penalty was for. I think it actually was for Marius Lowe. Werner Koch, as soon as he gets into the game, is making a difference. So I would chuck him at 30, get the ball more to him. He looks like he's up to play this game. They go up to Adam Beard. It's Vinipola. Oh, inside ball to Reece Zaman. It doesn't go to hand. So Ali Price tries and cleans up. James Fenter trying to jump all over that ball. Luca and Dickey now down the middle. They're right by the poles in the middle of the 22. Josh Navidi gets the ball away. Ian Henderson's a little bit flat-footed, but he's got a bit of help from Tom Carey, so he makes a bit of momentum there, a couple of meters there. Ali Price asking for a couple of runners, and Cowan Dickey takes it up. Now they're going to wide off Farrell. Wrapping around is Elliot Daly. We haven't seen much of him. He's wrapped up by Werner Koch. I'm actually going to pull up the stats as Werner Koch, because as Grant Swart, he's taking them on by themselves. He's had a fantastic game. I think it's a penalty for the Sharks. Yeah, it's obstruction from the Lions. Just too many players who are sort of lazy runners almost, and the Sharks players can't get to the player with the ball because of sort of obstruction. So it's a penalty for the Sharks. So that's a bit like the Sharks have done the entire time. The British and Irish Lions with some decent possession, looking good on the attack, and then conceding a very, very silly penalty. So Cohen and Bosch will kick themselves out of trouble. They'll get themselves further down the park, but they've got to take their chance, the Sharks. You've got to get some points, surely. You come away and you haven't scored any points. I think that you can put that down as a failed mission. They've already conceded 26, so 26-0 is not a pretty scoreline. I would take 35, 14 or something like that. Just score some points. Show that you can score some points. It's also a confidence thing. If you don't score any points, you feel like you've been comprehensively outplayed. Here we go. Some front row replacements. Vian Herbst and Ntuka Mkuno. Vian Herbst is a unit, by the way. They are on for the Sharks. Mkuno sort of burst on the scene with a really nice try against Sigma Lions, which has now sort of earned him comparisons to the Beast and Tawaria, which is a huge mantle to try and live up to. John says, Werner Koch taking on the Lions alone. Yeah, he's been everywhere. He's been absolutely everywhere. That's why I'm telling you, you've got to put him at outside centre. Sean Everett needs to give the people what they want. And what they want is Werner Koch at outside centre. Hugo with a solid win there. They're going for the more here, the Sharks. Gained a few meters, but now the Lions start pushing back. And Jen Henson goes tearing in to help him out. It's a bit of a poor pass, and Curran Bosch has actually charged down, so Marius Lowe has to clean up. Bundy Aki is all over him. He's all over that ball. He's turned it over. Werner Koch on the outside now. Vernicock once again making a few meters. That's nice from him. Pepsi Buthelezi this time taking up. Apologies for the bit of cut out there. I'm not quite sure what happened there. Temilani Borley not carrying it up. Now Cohen Bosch, under a lot of pressure, decides to go to the boot. Now Owen Farrell spots a bit of space, playing a bit of a territory game. We didn't see this much kicking from the British and Irish Lions. Quite interesting that they have actually gone to the boot a bit more. Probably because they've got Owen Farrell at number 10. Monty Liebach goes straight through the middle. He's found a bit of space, gets up to the halfway line. It's nice actually, a run from the fly half. And it's a penalty to the Lions. And I think it's for Liebach, who... Not quite sure what the penalty's for. It's a penalty for the Lions, so it's not a great result for the Sharks. But there's a nice little run there from Liebach. Spots a bit of space. Very exciting players, Monty Liebach. Operating mostly at full back now, to try and accommodate Cohen Bosch. With no Apelele Fassi, I think he'll probably play the majority of the Currie Cup there. Owen Farrell looking a little bit out of breath there. Elliot Daly now doing the kicking duties with his left boot. Finds touch within the 22, so it'll be a really good position for the Lions. Solid defense by the Lions. Also, yeah, the Lions' defense just looks really proper at the moment, doesn't it? They just don't. It's difficult to break down. Peter Gus says, I was recently watching the first half of the game. The Sharks need to dominate the game. At least someone has to score. Yeah, look, as I said, if you can't get a try on the board, I think it's a bit of a poor performance. Bundy Aki's burst through the middle here off the back of the line out. Still going as he's eventually brought down by Tucker Abrahams. They're on the 5 meter of the line. Oh, and Tom Carrier spilt it forward. And now Marius Lowe bursts forward with it. Oh, Cohen Bosch has been tossed down again. Werner Koch will clean up for him. They've got an advantage though. Liebach going inside Jazz Fent. It's all a bit messy. Jaco, is there not a penalty advantage or something here? Henshaw goes back. Bosch is in the pocket. Has a bit of time. Looks up. Blasts a kick deep downfield, but he doesn't find touch. So yeah, there's no advantage there. So Josh Adams will be able to run it from deep. He's going to go down the left-hand side. Runs into a couple of players there. Pepsi Buthelezi asking for some obstruction on Ali Price there. But it's available for the Lions, who looks to go down the left flank. Simmons bursts forward. Another tackle by Werner Koch. That's a very good run there from Cowan Dickey. Pops the ball up to Villapolo. Farrell delays the pass, and Pheasant Barter's there to make the interception. He goes to Jeremy Ward. Now, that pass looked a little bit forward. Cohen Bosch has burst through. He's got trying to get the pass to Abrahams. At least Reece Zammit puts a hand in there. So Reece Zammit cleaning up for the Lions. The pass looked a little bit forward earlier. I think it was to Cohen Bosch. It's available for the Lions, but they're all the way back at the 22. So much better from the Sharks. Ball is out, so it's Ferguson will bash it up. Ali Price now will go to the boot, puts in a box kick. Won't be contestable, but it'll stay in. Marius Lowe goes inside. Ooh, he almost broke a tackle. Luke Cowan Dickey grabbing his ankles there. So he got up to the 10 meter. Temilani picked up and goes. Almost driven back, but managed to get the ball down for Jaden Hendrickse. Pepsi Buthelezi now puts his shoulder down. He meets Owen Farrell in the tackle, gets passed over pretty much onto the 10 meter line. Right, Bosch now going behind to Jamie Ward. He's going to Werner Koch. Werner Koch getting the pass away to Monty Liebach. Inside ball. That's a brilliant pass from Jeremy Ward. He's got James Fenter inside him. James Fenter will go over. That's the stuff we've been waiting for. It's Monty Liebach and Werner Koch. James Fenter is the man who scores. The Sharks are on the board here. That's it. That's much better. You see, drawing the man, getting a pass out wide. It's all Monty Liebach there. Werner Koch, just delaying the pass, providing Monty Liebach with a bit of space. See, Werner Koch just got to Werner, committed to the tackle. Monty Liebach gets his hands around Elliot Daly. Inside ball to Jamie Ward. Hits the tackle, takes Fentu, gets away from Sam Simmons. You can only watch and dive after him. The Sharks get a try. That's what they needed. That's what the doctor ordered. The Sharks 5-0 up in the second half, actually, if you think about it like that. It's Monty Liebach, the man who gets his hands around the tackle. Brilliant stuff from him. I think it was always going to come from Monty Liebach, anything exciting, so... So Curran Bosch, it's right underneath Paul's to James Fenter, so it should be a decent. It should be a 2-pointer, yeah, for Curran Bosch. He's got 2 points against the Lions. Does the man from Eastern Cape, from PE originally, from Gqeberha, is Curran Bosch, a product of Grey College, from Grey High. But James Fenter, the former Lions player, is the man who gets over. And it's all down to Monty Liebach, Jeremy Ward, some nice offloads there. So we'll say cheers to the Sharks. Open up another beer. Cheers, everybody. Right, Rory Sutherland has replaced Marco Vinopola. And Tarek Furlong is on for Xander Ferguson as well. So 2 new props on for both sides. Here we go. So it looks like Owen Farrell's off. Finn Russell has come on at fly half. So the only backline player has been put on with 30 minutes to go. And I'll tell you what, Finn Russell's a nice player to be able to bring on, eh? It's eventually taken by Ruben van Heerden, who's backpedaling there. It's nice off the kickoff. So 3 of the 7 subs on, or the 8 subs on for the British and Irish Lions. Just the 3 from the Sharks actually. Renio Hugo was on quite early. So very nice takeaway from Ruben van Heerden. It's available for Jaden Henderson, who's going to shape it for the box kick. Doesn't have the safety 22, so he can't kick to touch. And it's a bit of a miscommunication with the Lions. Timolani Bully has come away with it. Shrugs off the tackle from Josh Adams, eventually brought down the halfway line. Curran Bosch throws a long pass to Tukakunu. Monty Liebach wrapping around. Pepsi Buthelezi now putting his head down. Brought down on the halfway line by Bundy Aki. It's a nice carry from the number 8. Jaden Henderson now using it. Spots a bit of space. Tuko Kuno now on the other side. Runs straight to Tarek Furlong. Nice carry, early carry on there from the youngster. Henderson going to Curran Bosch. Curran Bosch going quite flat for Ruben van Heerden. It was almost behind him, so it wasn't the best pass. And they've lost a few meters to have the Sharks. And there's a Lions player all over that ball, but it's eventually available for Hendrickse. Pepsi Buthelezi. That's a big tackle on him from Curry and Furlong. Back to the 10 meter are the Sharks, struggling to get to that sort of get past the gain line. And with everything else, Maurice Lowe thinking about the kick. Oh, he's burst through his Maurice Lowe. He's trying to prove us all wrong. He's going with Maurice Lowe, and he stumbles in the final moments. He gets the ball away from Hendrickse though. Inside ball from Monty Liebach was very casual from the scrum off. The Sharks are inside Lions territory. Much better for Maurice Lowe. That's what we've been waiting for him to see. Hendrickse now going to Renio Hugo. It's a big tackle on him. Makes a few meters though. Curran Bosch deciding going to go this side. Maurice Lowe. Sort of a bit stagnant. Eventually puts his head down. Yeah, the Sharks kind of looking out of ideas at the moment. They kind of just don't know what to do. They're just making a few passes. Pepsi Buthelezi deciding, you know what, I'll just bash it up myself. Slow ball here for Hendrickse. So he goes to Bosch. Inside ball. He's got Timolani Borley there, but he goes himself. Hendrickse goes to James Fenter. He makes a meter. Much better continuity. 11 phases from the Sharks. Not a great pass to Renio Hugo. He's very upright. Desperately trying to get himself down to the ground, and he does. Coming back towards the left-hand side now are the Sharks to Timolani Borley. That's a nice carry from him. Much better from the Sharks. Curran Bosch now stabs the ball in behind. Playing a bit of a territory game. He's going to set up just ahead for Josh Adams. So he'll have to try and kick it. He's not going to find touches, Josh Adams. So it's kept alive by Curran Bosch on the halfway line. He goes to the right to Werner Koch, who's down the middle of the park. What will he do? Chips over the top, does Werner Koch. It'll bounce for him as well. Good tackle from Finn Russell. He's got Ruben van Heerden. Van Heerden's got no support. He gets up to the 5-meter line. Ali Price has won a penalty on the ground. No support play from the Sharks. Werner Koch, brilliant stuff. Chips over the top. He's got the support from Ruben van Heerden, but where was the rest of the team? I mean, Ali Price has just won a penalty for holding on the ground. How does the scrum of all players win that penalty? Where was the support from the Sharks? Oh, that's going to be frustrating. Fantastic from Werner Koch. Let's look at some of the comments here. Lloyd says, yes, Sharks. I trusted that. Grant Swan says, well done, Sharks. Keep the ball away from Marius Lakers. Trial. We had a nice break here. This is very good from Werner Koch. Ball to the bounce. Finn Russell makes the tackle. Inside ball to Ruben van Heerden. He's brought down by Elliot Daly, and there's just no support. Ali Price is there immediately. Jaden Hings to dive straight over, and Pepsi Buthelezi is a little bit slow to try and remove Ali Price. So it's a poor penalty to concede on the ground. And John N.L. says first and last try. Well, we have to wait and see. We've got 25 minutes remaining of this half. Now we've got Ken Owens, who's on in the hooker position, replacing Lukau and Dickey. Adam Beard goes up, as you would, the tallest man on the field. And Dylan Richardson is on for Temelani Bully. That's interesting, actually, because he usually comes on for James Fenter. So looking like they try and win the ball on the ground. It's a decent maul from the lines. We've got a penalty advantage. Finn Russell now stabs it ahead for Elliot Daly, who's read it very well. He's brought down by Jamie Ward, but he's kept it alive. Ken Owens have gone there. Sam Simmons is there. It's a 2-on-1. Yeah, 2-on-1. They've gone to do in front of Merva. Werner Koch is there. Monty Liebach makes the tackle, but the Lions are up to the 22, and they've still got an advantage. Ali Price, quick ball. Finn Russell. That's nice by him. Just delaying the pass slightly, taking a defender out. And the advantage is over, and the Sharks have turned it over, but they're sleeping. Josh Adams has kicked the ball through, and Abrahams has knocked it on, and Josh Adams is over. Oh, that's horrible. Oh, Tucker Abrahams. What have you done? Well, Josh Adams is over. He's scored another. He just can't stop scoring. You can't keep him out the game. After a brilliant turnover from the Sharks, there was just nobody that wanted the ball, and Josh Adams was alive to the threat. He stabs it ahead, and Tucker Abrahams trying to dive on the ball, and he knocks it on. Yeah, sliding, and his knee hits it, and it just bursts to the side, and Josh Adams is there just to dot it down. So yeah, it's Marius Lowe again, who's sort of thrown a bit of a nothing pass. You know, he won the ball on the ground really well, and then just trying to sort of pop it on the ground, and he threw it back to nobody. And Josh Adams, well, you just can't keep him out the game. You cannot keep him out the game. 4 tries against Sigma Lions, try against Japan, 2 tries tonight, 7 tries in 3 appearances. He's going to break any line scoring records like this. It's ridiculous. Mark Jones says Adams is exceptional. He's going for the record, but it's a hard target. That's 6 he has now. No, it's not. It's what, 4, 1, it's 7. It's 7. He scored 2 tonight and 1 against Japan and 4 against Lions. It's 7 from him. Horrible try to concede. Absolutely. It really is not a good try. As the coach, you must be kicking yourself. After a very nice turnover, and you go and do that, it's frustrating. It must be frustrating for them. Finn Russell's on, he's got the kicking duties, and he slots that with no issues there, so they move up to 33 points to the British and Irish Lions. And it's Abrahams, yeah, he's trying to clean up, and the ball pops off to the left, and Josh Adams gets over. So it's not a good moment for the youngster. Marius Lowe should have just kept the ball in contact, would have prevented that entire situation. It's a very good contest on the ground there from James Fenter, and it's a knock on there. It's a knock on from James Fenter, who's contesting the line up there. Very, very nice kick there from Curtin Bosch. Very contestable, as it usually is from the fly off, and James Fenter just not able to hold on to it. So the first scrum since we had a replacement front row. So let's see how this goes. I thought the Sharks starting front row did quite well. I thought Kuta Mkuna had a very nice game at the front of the scrums. Short of so definitely Adams is in for the first test. I'll say Josh Adams will get man of the match. Well, you can't not pick him for that first test. I mean, what are your credentials? I scored 7 tries in 3 matches. Try and not pick me. I mean, come on. 35 points. Got 35 points in a Lions jersey. He's played just 3 matches. He hasn't even played, 240 minutes yet. It's a big scrum from the Lions. It's available, so Finn Russell uses it. He decides to chip over the top towards Dion van der Merwe. It'll bounce just inside. Oh, Dion van der Merwe almost managed to keep it in, so it bounced out. So it'll be a Sharks put in. Finn Russell, that's what you get with Finn Russell, He won't kick it deep. He'll chip over the top. Dion van der Merwe reckons it was that close to him jumping on and going all the way, but it looked like a decent scrum here from the Lions. Actually, it was a decent shove there. I think it was from Nkuno who made the big hit there. So it was a decent scrum for him. Good first scrum from the youngster. Clean line when Kieran from Furin on as well for the Sharks. As is Dylan Richardson. Going backwards at the moment from the Sharks. So Jaden Henderson comes and takes the ball out. He goes to Marius Lowe. Shows and goes himself. Gets up to the halfway line. Jaden Henderson hoping for some quick ball. And Jaden Henderson just not guilty of not using it. Now the Lions piling in. Jaden Henderson desperately trying to get that ball out. It's pretty poor from the scrum off. It still hasn't managed to get it out. It was available for him. Jack Pepper said he could use it, and he just decided not to. Trying to win a penalty. Betsy Buthelezi now. Standing start. Now, quick ball here from Kieran Bosch. He stabs it on the ground. Josh Adams reads it very well. Gets the pass out to Louis Zammit as well. Louis Zammit's down the right. Oh, you're not going to catch him. You're not going to catch him. I'm going to award it now. He hasn't even got over yet, but here we go. Louis Zammit. I mean, that's just the pace there. Kieran Bosch, grab it in behind, and Josh Adams read him like a script. Won the tackle, outside ball. Louis Zammit had nobody ahead of him, and that was the easiest run he'll have all night. There's one person you don't want to have a foot race. Brilliant by Josh Adams, and he just takes away the tackle from Tucker Abrahams. When the ball goes to Louis Zammit, he's got nobody ahead of him. And who's going to catch him? Who's going to catch him? Gary McKenzie says, Morris Lowe is a flank converter. He can play great rugby when he's relaxed, but when he puts some pressure on himself, he makes horrible mistakes. He's been frustrating to watch. He's, because every single time he does something well, he'll then do, like the pass earlier, it's just frustrating because, as I said, we've seen some good moments from him, but it just hasn't been a particularly good, well-rounded performance. 38 points to 7, and Finn Russell will add the extra 2. He's right in front, so he does. And the Lions 16 points away from breaking that 56-point margin that they hit against the Sigma Lions on the weekend. Sean Farris says, good first 2 games for Louis Zammit, 2 tries in 2 games. He's just so quick, isn't he? Wearing the number 10 jersey tonight, not playing fly half, but unfortunately because of the late changes, they couldn't quite get the jersey sorted. And Faletau is now on for Tom Curry. So you won't see Faletau on the wing, unfortunately. He's wearing the number 23 jersey tonight. And JJ van der Mesh is on for Ruben van Heerden. And a penalty from the Lions off the kickoff. And I think it's JJ van der Mesh whose first contribution is to concede a penalty. So not the best start from the big lock. Adds a bit of grunt as JJ van der Mesh. Very heavy. I think he's about 130 kgs odd or whatever he is. Jean Renel saying the Sharks are really bad, didn't do their homework at all. They've just been their own worst enemies. It's kind of been through their mistakes. They've had chances, can't really take it. It's frustrating from them because I think they had the chance to actually do something here, but they really haven't been particularly good. Carl Bennington says, I knew who was going to win British and Irish Lions. Yeah, well, I mean, we kind of always know that, don't we? It's an embarrassment if the British and Irish Lions don't win. Gavin McKenzie said, let's not forget that Josh Adams was top try scorer at Rugby World Cup 19, top class finisher, but the Box know how to shut him down. Well, I hope so. They didn't play against him, I don't think, in the World Cup. Oh, it's a big carry in the middle. I'm not quite sure who that on. I think it's a replacement that looked... So it's the British Irish Lions on the halfway line. Ken Owens making a few meters there. Bundy Aki now. Oh, and Finn Russell caught in the ball. Oh, and Jeremy Ward, who was there, can't pick it up. He had nobody behind. Finn Russell caught in the ball a little bit there, and Jeremy Ward, who was trying to pick up and go, knocks it on. Chris van der Merwe says SA Rugby has never been this week. Yeah, well, no, hang on. I wouldn't say SA Rugby. I'd say our unions, maybe. But I mean, I think it's, maybe that's what you mean by SA Rugby. But if anybody wants to invest a couple of pounds or dollars down here, with a 60 million rand salary cap, until that goes, until we've got the money to contend with overseas, our unions are never going to compete. It's also difficult because our unions, with COVID and stuff like that, also not at their full strength. They could be under regular conditions. Like the Sigma Lions had players who were isolating and stuff like that, so they didn't have a full contingent to pick from. So I can't believe the Bulls are the only team that beat the Lions. It's a massive ask. For a local side with no international players, basically, all your international players are with the Springboks, to go and beat a side comprised of 4 Test nations is a huge ask. From the scrum, though, the British Irish Lions, not the greatest from them. It's Elliot Daly who's caught in the ball by Tucker Abrahams, and Jeremy Ward eventually makes the tackle. So it's messy ball here from the British Irish Lions, and I think it's a knock-on for the Sharks. Dylan Richardson's got the ball on the ground. Henderson going down the nose side. Liebach puts in the go behind. It'll run out. So we start with a line, defensive line here for the Lions. It's actually well played from the Lions. It's Anthony Folmick who's on the park. Not sure who he's on for. We'll have to wait for confirmation of that. There we go. Handling errors. It's 12 from the Sharks. 12 handling errors from the Sharks. Oh, the British Irish Lions go from the front. Oh, and James Fenter jumps on it. James Fenter is almost in for the double. That's a horrible, horrible line out there from the Lions. Kieran from Fury now caught on the ball. Well, the Sharks are all of a sudden 5 meters away, but I think they've turned it on the ground. Yeah, they've turned it on the ground. I mean, that's just typical of the entire night. Every time there's a chance for the Sharks, they've turned it on the ground. And Finn Russell will pump this ball out downfield. He's not looking for touch. Oh, and it kicks. It almost bounced favorably, but Tucker Abrams was there to clean up. It's not a great pass to Anthony Fulming. He decides to dab in the behind. Yuri Salmon's there, pops it up to Finn Russell. He then puts on his left boot. Down the middle there. Morris Lowe still in the park, so I think it's Marnie Liebach who's come off, which is a strange decision from the Sharks, I think. So eventually, on the center of the park of the Sharks, Dylan Richardson now taking it up. JD van der Mesh going on a pick up and drive, trying to use all those kgs he has. And it's too slow running away there, so the Sharks have got a penalty, so a bit of a free roll of the dice. They go to Pesi Buthelezi, who hands off one. Now Dylan Richardson again, a very explosive player is Dylan Richardson. A couple of meters behind by him. Still advanced for the Sharks. Curran Bosch, it's a horrible pass to Werner Koch, who deals with it very nicely. Curran Bosch's passes today have been very telegraphed, very flat. He's put his players under a lot of pressure. I actually haven't been impressed with Curran Bosch at all tonight. You know, his kicking's been alright, but I mean, when he's trying to get the back line going, I mean, a pass like that, he's sort of, you know, one of these sort of great sort of and stop pass, and that's Werner Koch on the back foot. What's he supposed to do with that? I mean, talk about just selling your mate down the river. So the Sharks got a penalty here, so the Curran Bosch can kick towards the corner. Sean Farrell says the Blues did it in 2017 tour, so it could happen. It's the Bulls, isn't it? We all know it's the Bulls that have the best chance. I think any fan who's been watching will know that despite maybe going down against Benetton, it's the Bulls that have got the best chance of beating the side. And there we go, Maori Toji onto the field. I mean, this is the thing. The British and Irish Lions can pretty much bring on an entire new pack here. They've got to leave their backline players on unless they try and put a forward in the backline, but they're going to bring on a whole new pack. So Maori Toji is onto the field for Captain Ian Henderson, so I'll be interested to see who's currently the captain at the moment. Sharks trying to take it quickly, being told no, they can't do that. They're going to have to try again. Yeah, so who's the captain on at the moment for the Lions? I mean, is it Maori Toji? Has he come on and taken the captaincy over? What was it, Ken Owens? I wonder. I mean, as I said, I'll be interested to see who the captain currently is for the Lions. They're on the 5 meter, and the Sharks trying to get a maul going, but it's been broken. Yes, so Kieran van Vuuren has to use it himself. Josh Navidi up there quickly to tackle him. Grant Williams on the pitch now. JJ van der Mesht. Dylan Richardson again. He's made a lot of meters when he's come on. Actually, has Dylan Richardson. He's looked pretty good. Grant Williams, you've got to score a try here. You've got to score a try. We've got an advantage to the Sharks. Got to make this count. Got to make this count. Dylan Richardson once again. JJ van der Mesht. Big tackle on him from 2 players. Ball's out. They're thrown across. So they'll go back for the penalty. Well, it looks like a yellow card. No, I thought Jacob Pepper was reaching for his card. They're going to looking to go quickly as Marius Lowe. He does go quickly and gets battered up. He does play like a forward at times, you know. So right on the try line are the Sharks. Big defense needed here from the British Irish Lions. Instukum Kuno coming within a couple of yards. JJ van der Mesh now shaping up. Mario Toji doing his best to try and pull him inside. They've got an advantage to the Sharks. Pick up and go, but it's being held up from the looks of it. Another penalty here. I think the Sharks will just keep milking the penalty, see if they can try and get a yellow card. Grant Williams trying to take it quickly. Try to take it quickly and it went and missed it. This time they go to Dylan Richardson. Slow ball here for Grant Williams. Can he get that ball out? It's available eventually. Pepsi Buthelezi, the captain, gets driven back. Solid tackle on him. So it's good defense here by the Lions. Richardson once again. This is very good defence by the British and Irish Lions. They were right on the try line, and now they've been driven back to beyond the 5 metre. Very, very solid. Bosch now. Monty Liebach, first carry from him. Gets wrapped up. Still can't quite get over the... Tukan Kudo's running on a gap. Good tackle on him from Jack Conan. The ball's popped out, and the Lions... And they've done it again, haven't they? Brilliant defence. And then they've won it. Oh, they've gone down the right. Reece Sammer kicks to the head. He's going to try and keep that in play. Now we've got a foot race on. We've got... I think it's... Fulmick who's tracking back. It's 3 Lions players. He's going to try and keep it alive. He's found space down the middle there as Anthony Fulmick. He's still going as Fulmick. He gets away from one. Eventually gets brought down. It's come off the knee of Bundy Aki. Now Josh Navidi's burst through. Oh no, he's going to go through. Josh Navidi's going to score here. 45 points to 7. Horrible, horrible. Where is the freaking support? It's brilliant by Fulmick. He's gone from the 22. He's skipped away from a couple of players. Hit down the middle, and there's just no support. The support play today has been horrible from the Sharks. Completely isolated. They turn the ball over, and Josh Navidi just strolls through the middle. I'll take a try. Look, I was giving out tries for fun. You can see here, there's just no, the ball spills out the side, and there's just no Sharks players. You need a couple of players. I mean, that's Intutuka Nkuna walking back. How can you be walking back? You came on at 55 minutes. You've been on the field for 15 minutes. I don't care if you're a prop. You cannot be walking back. This is the biggest game of your life. So Sharks players not getting back, the support really poor, and Josh Navidi's got a try as a result, and Finn Russell will have another easy 2-pointer. And that's the frustrating part. It's not just been a case of, they've been too good for the Sharks. The Sharks have just given themselves no chance here. Every single time they do something good, they then make it difficult for themselves, and they make basic errors. So I think we're having a look at this try here. I don't know what the issue is, but we're having a look. So, Fulmick goes down here. Oh, it's a knock-on from Itoje. And he's offside, so it actually won't be a try after all that. Well, it's Mario Itoje who, I suppose, kind of forced that knock-on there. He tried to play the ball on the ground. Yeah, so he tries to grab it, doesn't hit it, then comes off the knee of Bundy Aki before Josh Navidi then picks it up and walks through. So interesting to see what this call will be. Gareth McKenzie says the whole tour is going to be down if you do and down if you don't. COVID has ruined what could have been one of the best tours of the century. It's such a shame, really. We should be in this. Yeah, well, that's another thing, It's difficult for these sides to try and really lift themselves. I mean, they should have thousands of supporters in the stands, winning them on. Now, let's not also forget the impact that makes. So, the try's been disallowed, which is really useful for the Sharks. So 40 points to 7, saving themselves a little bit of dignity. Grant Swart says this might be the worst Sharks performance this year. Yeah, it hasn't been great. I mean, at this stage, what? The Lions were 56 points to 14. This was 40 points to 7. So I'm kind of putting that on a bit of a par. 16 points that the British and Irish Lions scored. So what? Technically, they've scored 9 points less. The margin's 9 points better for the Sharks. So in theory, it's a better performance, but I don't know. It's just 7 points compared to 14 points. 1 try compared to 2. I'll put this with the par of the Sigma Lions at the moment. I don't think there's much of a difference. If the Sharks score here, then that's a whole different story. I think that would suddenly be a much better performance. Look, it's been better in the second half. And that's the frustrating thing is that they've had good moments, but they've just let it slip when it's counted. Put turnover ball there, and if that try had been awarded, no support play and stuff like that. So they haven't done themselves any favors, have the Sharks. As you move into the last 9 minutes of the game, Reno Hugo goes up, big early shove there from the Lions, and they burst through, but they've come down, I think, legally. So there's no penalty advantage or anything. The Sharks will have to use this. Dylan Richardson now is brought down by Tarek Furlong. And Jack Conan's all over that ball, trying to slow it down. He does slow it down, but doesn't win it. Grant Williams goes to Percy Buthelezi. He continues to carry it up for his team. He's driven back to outside the 22. Very good defense this by the Lions. Their defense has been their biggest sort of attribute in both games so far. Jenny van der Mesh puts his head down, but he's wrapped up by Hamish Watson, who's on the 21 jersey, and he's won it as Hamish Watson. Now, Finn Russell kicks in behind. Duman van der Merwe. Werner Kok is coming back. He's not the quickest as Werner Kok. He should win this battle, though. He's got Anthony Fulmick there. So Fulmick's going to try and run it himself. And he's running to Jack Conan. Sharks now inside their own half behind the 10 meter. They go to Percy Buthelezi. He's made a lot of carries tonight, has the Sharks captain. Williams goes himself, trying to snipe, finds a bit of a gap, gets himself into past the 10-meter line. Ball's out. It's a bit messy. Werner Koch down the blind side. He's been immense tonight. Really has tried hard, has Werner Koch down that wing. On the halfway line, Sharks. Kuno goes to Curran Bosch. Flat ball for Pepsi Buthelezi. That must be about his 15th carry. Made a lot of carries as the Sharks captain. And it's a counter ruck's good from the Lions. So they've turned over ball here. Falatau over the top for Witoje. I think he thought about... Oh, it's a very nice kick from... Duman van der Merwe is going to go through. Duman van der Merwe will stroll over for the try. They turned the ball over and there was too many numbers. And it's a fantastic just touch there from Elliot Daly. He doesn't even handle it. Just, puts it on to Duman van der Merwe, who goes over for another try. 45 points to 7. It just gets a little bit worse. Jan Smith says, of course I agree, not good to see this, but this is actually good development for our youngsters. We can select another 2 teams from overseas-based players that will be competitive. Yeah, 100%. There's a huge divide between our box and overseas-based players in this younger Ember Cup. Well, that's the thing. I mean, the average age of the Sigma Lions this weekend was, 24, I think it was? This Shark side, it's not, I don't think there's too many players who are over 30 or anything like that. So, Gary McCain says, agreed, Grant. Sharks have been poor. Unfortunately, Curran has missed his chance and shown why he's not in the box. Yeah, I said I haven't been impressed by Curran Bosch at all. I think he's struggled tonight. So, Finn Russell will have a chance to just pop this over. Although I think Duman van der Merwe didn't do him too many favours. He didn't actually cut inside that much, so it won't be the easiest kick. So I'm going to put a link in the live chat now. It's for the player ratings. You can go there and you can rate all the players, both the British and Irish Lions players as well as the Sharks players. And then we'll be live. It is 20 to 10. We'll be live at probably about 10:15. There's the link there. So I'll pin it. So please go and visit there and go and vote for your players. We'll be live in about half an hour, where we'll then be going through those ratings, rating every single player, both the British and Irish Lions players as well as the Sharks players, giving them a rating between 1 and 10. And actually, I think you can actually vote 0. Which would be a bit harsh, but you can. So we'll be doing that in about half an hour. So make sure you go and cast your vote. No issue there from Finn Russell for the kick. So it's 47 points to 7. Oh dear, and the British and Irish Lions have burst through the middle. This will be another try. Inside. Oh, Ali Price has lost it forward. It would have been an easy try. Now Curran Bosch will try and counter-attack. Goes himself. Can't get the ball away. Pops it up. JJ van der Mesh there. They've got an advantage, I think, for a knock-on. Takes into touch. Should be advantage over here. Grant Williams uses it. Dylan Richardson once again piles it up. Still going are the Sharks. Buthelezi carrying it up. Williams goes down the left flank. Sharks making it. If the Sharks can score a try, it will be a decent game from them. Credit to them if they can come back, and wouldn't be a decent game. It would just be a bit of a nice little way to finish it. Grant Williams goes himself, almost finds a half gap, but he's very isolated now. So the Sharks have managed to keep it. Fair play. JJ van der Mesh now at scrum off. But yeah, please do go and vote for the player ratings. Go do those player ratings, and we'll be live in half an hour to go through them, see what you guys had said as well. Grant Williams, still 4 minutes left in the half. It'd be really nice for the Sharks to try and cap off this performance, and they've knocked it on. I take it all back. Hamish Washington has emerged with it. He's thrown a big pass over the top for Elliot Daly. Quick ball to Duman van der Merwe, who's left it behind. So we'll go back for the initial knock-on. Duman van der Merwe, if he had caught that, I think could have been away. James Fenter is cramping from the looks of it. Gareth McKenzie says, our depth in SA is still amazing. We have wonderful structures from grassroots. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang says that's actually 100% true what you said there, Johan. We must remember that's the thing. It is the best of 4 countries versus a union. Are the Sharks a strong team in SA? Yeah, they are when they've got their Springboks back. You put Lakanya Yao Penkle, Spuru Nkosi, Apelele Fassi, Makazolo Mapimpi, Sia Khaleesi, Thomas Atoy, Oxen Chair. even Sukamura Noche, who's injured, you put them back into the side, it's a whole different side. I mean, how many of these players, Sanele Nahamba is currently with, how many of these players in the Sharks squad will start for the Sharks team that will play in the United Rugby Championship? You know, maybe 4. Maybe. So, Mongi Manambi's coming there. You know, there's basically 10 of these Sharks players who are currently with the Boks. That's 2/3 of a team. So it's very difficult to judge them. What we must also remember is that when the New Zealand teams played against the Lions back in 2017, New Zealanders have all their players in New Zealand. Maybe less so these days, a couple of players going to Europe. But the bulk of it, you know, you give up playing for New Zealand if you go and play in Europe. Whereas here, you can play in Europe and you can still play for the Springboks. So when the Blues beat the Lions, you know, and when the Crusaders played the Lions, they were pretty much A squads, minus a 35-man test squad. We've got a bigger Springbok squad than normal because of COVID. So more players unavailable for the unions, and we've got all the overseas players. So you've got to remember these sort of these facts and these situations when you look at these performances. This is not the best Sharks side that they can put out. The 4 unions are not the 4 best South African sides we can put out minus our 46-man Springbok squad. If you put all the South Africans back and put them amongst the unions, and then you had a 35-man Springbok squad, for example, as you normally would do, as the Lions battered the Sharks scrum, it would be a whole different story. So there's everything going against these unions at the moment, as Luce Rees-Zammit finds a bit of space down the right-hand side. He gets away from Werner Cox, steps inside, eventually brought down by Dylan Richardson. He's found himself deep in Sharks territory. Can the Lions find another try? Mario Toje goes on for another run by himself. Hamish Watson filling in scrum half. He's got 21 on his back, so he's back. Oh, they're going down here. Faletau has gone forward, has it not? No, Josh Adams. No way! Josh Adams for number 8! Number 8, Josh Adams. Take a bow. He can't stop scoring. I tell you what, Josh Adams is scoring more tries than we have COVID cases in the box, and that's a lot of them, man. And he's got his hat-trick for tonight. He scored 4 in the week. He's got a hat-trick now, and he's got one against the Japan. 8 tries. He's going for the record. This man was not going to stop scoring tries. I'll tell you what, if Gatlin tries to leave him out of the next game, he's going to have a lot of words. First man on the team sheet is Josh Adams, and it was a pretty easy run at the end. Just too many players being sucked inside. Tucker Abrams made a very valiant dive, but you can't do anything there. And 52 points to 7. The Sigma Lions suddenly looking like a better side than the Sharks based on their performances, actually. So it's been a very tough day for the side from Durban. They'll bounce back from this, but it's not been a good game at all. Pierre Mbameyang saying, Grant Swartz, I agree 100%. Most of the Sharks players in training for the South Africa game versus the British Lions. Yeah, well, that's the thing. So as soon as you start factoring in these things, I mean, it's not playing against the 3rd best side of South Africa. I mean, we're looking at like the 6th, 7th best side of South Africans, maybe, compared to the best of 4 nations. You know, so yeah, that's the reality. But I mean, look, it's very good exposure for these players. For these players to be able to get no, but Chris van der Merwe, you're not listening. So he says, look at the past results in all lines in South Africa. This is an embarrassment. The Boks and the Sharks team would not make a big difference. Of course they would make a difference. Are you mad? You're telling me right now, if you had a front row of Oxenchair, Fezenbarter, Thomas Latoy, second row, you had Hiron Andrews, Ruben van Heerden, and you then had Sia Khaleesi in the loose trio. You had probably Jaden Henson, but you had Cohen Bosch, and then Lokanyo and Yao Penkley, and Spoon Corsi, and Apelele Fassi and stuff. They wouldn't make a difference. No, they'll definitely make a difference. Plus, in 2009, we only had a limited amount of players playing overseas, whereas now we've got pretty much 2 or 3 teams playing overseas. They're like 8 players just in the Sale Sharks in the Bok camp at the moment. So put those players back. You can't compare 2009 to here. It's apples with oranges if you're going to make that comparison. The Hooter is gone. Finn Russell will put the Sharks out of their misery. 54 points to 7 is how it will end. Thank you everybody who's tuning in. It's been a tough night for the Sharks up in the Highveld. They're not even playing at their home stadium. No crowds as well. So everything against them. They've been poor tonight, have the Sharks. And I think the frustrating thing is that they've been their only worst enemies. You know, if they just done the basics better, they probably could have put a much better result on here. But yeah, so no British and Irish Lions games until next week. Wednesday, we will be live for SAA. We'll be live again in half an hour for that player rating show. Come and hang out. So yeah, make sure you go cast your vote there on the player rater. Go and rate all the players and stuff like that. And I'll check you guys in about half an hour for that rating show. We'll have a review up as well. And stuff like that. So thank you very much for watching. Please do keep safe out there. My name is Steven. Thank you very much for watching. Please do subscribe as well. And I'll